Is QuickBooks slowing your business down? Do you have challenges managing inventory, project profitability, or just getting paid fast enough? Get your business to a better place and graduate to NetSuite today. Stop paying for multiple systems that don't give you the information you need when you need it. Ditch the spreadsheets and all the old software you've outgrown. Now is the time to upgrade to NetSuite by Oracle, the world's #1 cloud business system. NetSuite gives you visibility and control over your financials, HR, inventory, e-commerce, and more. Everything you need, all in one place, instantaneously. Whether you're doing $1 million or hundreds of millions in revenue, save time and money with NetSuite.
Join the over 24,000 companies using NetSuite right now. Let NetSuite show you how they'll benefit your business with a free product tour at netsuite.com/info. Schedule your free product tour right now at netsuite.com/info, netsuite.com/info.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this late to presses edition of One Nation Radio. I'm Jace Boyd, and here with me I have Rich Lotto. What's going on, man?
Not much, man. Just got some important stuff to talk about first to knock out the way, and then we'll get into the wrestling talk in a little bit. But the first thing I definitely wanted to talk about, since we waited a day to do the show, we were going to do it Monday night, but Tuesday allowed us to get the verdict in the Derek Chauvin trial, of course, with the murder of George Floyd last year on One Nation Radio. That took up a pretty big, segment, and we heard a lot of feedback. I had a lot of people reach out to me, talk about how good it was, I guess, and how brave we were to kind of talk about things like that. And I'm like, I mean, yeah, it's like I appreciate that, but like it doesn't really take much for us to be brave on a podcast. But
right,
this is Derek Chauvin got charged with all three and guilty of second-degree murder on count 1, third-degree murder on count 2, and second-degree manslaughter on count 3. All the way guilty. I saw it, and I figured this one was going to go our way this time. I didn't get that feeling like, oh, I feel like the other shoe's about to drop. Strangely, I felt like the jury got done too fast, and I was like, he's out of here, man. Like, there's video, and thank you for the video existing, because if it didn't, then we already saw how that would go a couple months ago. And for us to almost be like, it's probably about a year away from the anniversary of George Floyd passing. I believe it's May 25th.
Yeah. It's like May or June. Yeah.
And then we're kind of still, in the same situation. We're all still in the house, and most of us are in the house, but
some of us are still in the house.
Yeah. But largely the situation with the world, the vaccines, like, rolling out a little bit more all the time. It feels strange, because it's like, all right, he was guilty. Now what? Like, and that, like, what do we do? Because usually the result comes out and then it's all this anger, right? But it's a different kind of feeling, because it's like, well, George Floyd's not coming back. Their family still lost, like, their father, their brother, their son, their uncle, like, all that. Like, there's no justice for him. Like, he's gone. Like, justice would be his ass still being here with us. And, I apologize for saying his ass like that, but, like, I'm still, like, trying to process all this, like, in real time, just, a couple hours removed from the verdict coming out. The sentencing is going to be happening in about 2 months, taking a little bit long for me, but I guess the nature of the high-profile case necessitates that. Just is seeing this actually feel like, I don't know if it's a change in anything, but it's welcome.
Yeah, I feel a lot of the same ways you do. Like, I'll quickly say this knowledge and then move on. Like, I remember some sports writer used to make this point about certain teams, about there's seasons that win championships that either it's a feeling of joy or a feeling of relief. Like, whew, we didn't blow this one. Me watching people cover this trial over the weeks, and coming down to it being actually guilty on all charges, for me it was it was like, okay, so they found a no doubt guilty person guilty, so yay, you know,
right?
Like it's like, oh, okay, well, they didn't make me just like, you know, shake my head and recalculate just how much people hate us, or but it's like, nah, it's even like they you know, like they detest us even more than I thought. Have to do that again, but but getting to what I'm feeling like, and I agree with you, is like people have celebrated this, and I don't know how to help. And to me, it comes back to like, I don't police the way people grieve, right? Like, so I see how they feel, and I know a lot of people saw that video and it fucked them up, or made them feel terrible, and to have some sort of sense of karmic force come back on the other side and adjudicate, you know, something resembling justice. I get why people feel, you know, people are happy or whatever else. I get that. That's just not me. But because, like you said, he's gone. He's never coming back. I'm kind of that person that feels like, all right, like people that are vengeful, I'm kind of like, I don't really get that. It's like, all right, you got an eye for an eye. Now what? So for me, I kind of just see it as, all right, well, he did something he deserved to rot, and he's going to rot. Do I think this is some larger or pivotal change in the history of this sort of stuff, where police overplay their hands? No. Right? Like, we've seen a number of police officers serve jail time, and this thing still keeps coming, still keeps on rolling. That's the institution. So it's still just like for me, just like it's another chapter in this gigantic story, and you know, it's I don't want to sound, I mean, obviously it's a murder, so I can't sound too dark. Someone's already gone, but it's like, this won't be solved, but I don't think it'll be solved in our lifetimes. So it's another one of those, you know, issues in a long fight going forward, and hopefully someday stuff like this will not exist like this, in this way. Like, this was one of the most heinous, like, murders from a cop I've ever seen. Like, he's on camera laying on somebody's, like, with half his body weight on somebody's back and neck, and sees the life leave out of him and stays on him, doesn't budge, in front of people in broad daylight with cameras, looking at, knows the cameras on him, doesn't give a fuck.
With his other cops.
With other cops that didn't stop him or whatever else, with an off-duty EMT wanting to help, but being told that she could not help. You know? So I understand a lot of people got charged up, and rightfully so, over what happened last summer, especially when people were so cooped up last year, but you know, even before this, like, what we saw that video from last week with the Joe Toledo kid, the 13-year-old that got shot by a cop for turning around with his hands up. Yeah. So, this isn't a new, or this isn't some. This is just one of the latest, and there'll be more. Unfortunately,
it's like a small battle in a long war.
Yeah.
And you know, I just hope that, you know, his George Floyd's family, you know, take some kind of solace in this. Go after the civil suit, whatever you got to do. I believe
they already got a civil suit. Yeah. I think the thing for them is, that's a strong family, given all they've gone through over the past year with all the stuff they've had to do and to kind of be at the forefront of this for a while, at least on their end for their small portion of this or whatever for this time being, and hopefully they can live the rest of their lives with some type of joy after this has happened to them, because this isn't supposed to fucking happen. It's never supposed to fucking happen, but this keeps happening to people, and it's funded by our fucking taxes. So
the last thing I want to say is, like, George Floyd should still be alive today. We should have never heard of him, like, because he should have, like, it should have been a routine stop or, just regular questioning. The man, he should have never become the face of this movement.
Right.
And, I just hope everybody doesn't forget what all this stuff felt like in the last, year and change, or almost a year. And, I hope he does all 75 of those years and then drops on year 74. So, we can start the show, man.
This is Jordan Grace, and you're listening to the Social Suplex Podcast Network.
BWB, this is One Nation Radio. You better get it right. Rich Latta, James Boyd came to give them life. The Blackest Wrestling Podcast has come to kick all ass and drop it 6 feet if they kicking trash. Word, let me welcome y'all to something different. And if you dig it, man, you should let some friends listen. We be getting it in, this on the regular, dude. Ravish and flow, but this shit rude. See, James don't rap, so I had to break it down. The whole network, man, we coming for the crown. Raps in the columns, I keep them both covered. Making the beats too, so the listeners can bump it. Hit us with the rating, yeah, I'm saying it's a 5. Before you hit it, talk, bob your head side to side. It's One Nation Radio, and this is the beginning. It's Rich, and I'm here with James. It's time to listen to One Nation.
We got to unleash the power of the pyramid.
This is Mike Sempervive from WrestlingObserver.com. Check me out on Wrestling Observer Live every day. And also check out your boys, Rich and James, on One Nation Radio.
Hi, this is Kenny Omega. We're listening to One Nation Radio. Check it out, guys. These guys know what's up. Big Kenny Omega fans, that's all that counts to me. Goodbye and good night. Hey.
One Nation Radio, back again after having to do one of these things after a break. I'm making note. I didn't even pause it. I just did a pause and now I added in. But so getting to the wrestling side of things as opposed to the bullshit side of things that we have to cover on this show from time to time. WWE has, I guess, now brought back this tradition of after WrestleMania we're cutting people. This is now the second year after years of it being kind of gone is back. Major names involved were Samoa Joe, the Iconics. I'm blanking on some other names right now, but there were a few.
I'm pulling up the list right
Tucker
now.
Knight.
Yeah, Tucker, Mojo Rawley.
Yeah, Mojo.
Mickey James.
Right.
Lars was cut earlier this year. Andrade was cut, obviously, or he released.
Chelsea Green.
He got himself out of there.
Yeah.
Chelsea Green.
Yeah.
Steve Cutler was a couple months ago.
That's right.
Kalisto, Bo Dallas, Wesley Blake. So, this is another case of WWE cutting people due to budget cuts, quote unquote, which is just the absolute biggest pile of horse shit possible. When you start talking about all the $1 billion TV deals they've signed and sold the network for $1 billion, we talked about it last year. It's not even percentages. It's like percentages of percentages, that they're possibly saving. This is This is a big business company. There's no one else in the world that's cutting people like this during the pandemic still. It's disgusting. It's gross. And I feel bad for a lot of the wrestlers, but these are this crop that they've released all feel like they have kind of something to offer somewhere. Like 7 of the 9 of them I can see somewhere else like immediately.
Okay. I mean, like a team like the Forgotten Sons, like they were a good tag team. Like, yes, you know, Cutler and Blake, all the jokes about the Forgotten Sons and all that stuff. But like in the ring, they were good. They were a good team. They absolutely were. Where they land eventually, I don't know. I don't know what what the NXT legend Blake what his background was before he got to NXT, but like he's one of the better like people to come out of the PC, like unless he had some background I'm unaware of. So
apparently he was Dory Funk Jr.'s prize student, I believe, before he came to NXT. I think it's him.
Okay.
So yeah,
explains why he's a good wrestler.
Yeah, he's gonna be fine. Like I could easily see those guys in Impact. I believe one of them. I think Steve Cutler actually is dating Deonna Purrazzo, so there's a kind of an in there. But Samoa Joe is like a guy it was kind of a shock. It looks like he was. Joe's had his injury problems, and he's
lots of them.
You never quite know with the injuries in WWE, like if they're like, hey, we're trying to keep you out for whatever reason, but I don't know, like feels like, Joe is ready to hit the ground running. Just looking at his Twitter and everything else, like he's going to show up somewhere and he has value.
Yes, he absolutely does. He's one of the best promos in the world. And like he's somebody that in a different circumstance, different timeline, maybe it was years earlier, maybe if it was, under a better booker, quite frankly, he's a WWE World Champion in some time in between 2017 and 18, given the fact of given the way he cut promos. Didn't happen, but you look at that, we talk about it pretty often when it comes to WWE. You combine John Cena being gone, and everybody knows he's not coming back, with the Jinder Mahal title reign, with the summer where Brock pinned in consecutive pay-per-views Samoa Joe, Roman Reigns, and Braun Strowman, and where this company has gone from there and never recovered. That was a huge thing. Joe had got that bitch hot in the summer. He absolutely did. Like, and I get it. Like, not everybody is going to have a long shelf life, but given how good he was with Roman Reigns at the time, I would have flipped the title to him at some point or whatever else to have gotten a big money match at a WrestleMania or SummerSlam with Joe I said Joe when I was thinking of Roman, even though he actually is Joe, with Roman or with Brock or whatever else. But it wasn't in the cards because they didn't see him at that level, even though he was obliterating all of them on the mic, and it was just a god. Like the second I saw that he was gone, and whether it was he wanted to leave or whatever else, I thought, like, that's a person that you do not let leave, given his mic skills and given what he has shown you as a commentator. Like, that dude is your best main roster personal commentary. Why would you let him go?
And he's instant credibility. He's someone that the audience believes in. Even when he, was doing, like if he had to stand up and get into it with a wrestler or something, it's like no matter how long he's been sitting, kind of you like, man, that's fucking Samoa Joe. Like,
right. Like I remember when Joe first got up to the main roster, and I was talking to you about like the heavenly bodies they have on the from NXT to the main roster, whether it was Bray Wyatt or Kevin Owens or him, and I was like, the thing with Kevin Owens and Bray Wyatt is they look like they could probably whoop your ass. Joe, he could whoop your ass. He's one of the, like, there is an aura about him in the way he carries himself, to where you believe the gimmick with him, that he's an actual tough guy, even though, you know, he's done some crazy shit in the ring and all whatever else. Like, I don't know if he's any tougher than any other wrestlers, but you believe that he is, though, while given what he carries himself. So, I hate that he's gone, because I thought that, like, even when I would, you know, occasionally watch WWE, like, to hear him and have some credibility and not be like go from being really fucking good to just god awful like Corey Graves has, just because he wants to keep his fucking job. Like, I was cool with that, right? So, you know, like, just the fact that he's that kind of value, like, you ain't gotta pay him as a wrestler. Just to keep him as your commentator, that's a place of value. So I was surprised. Like, if you want to leave, I get that, but wherever he goes, he's gonna make some noise, because he's that good of a promo. Wherever he ends up going, like, and my first thought was, it's like, I don't know how, I don't know why, but if he ends up in AEW, good fucking God, please get me to a Joe Moxley match immediately. Like, if the match stinks, the match stinks. I want the promos, because you know what the promos are going to be. It's going to be a feud of the year contender off the promos.
I'd like to see him with Eddie Kingston. I'd like to see him with Kenny. I'd like to see him, you know, with a lot of people.
Cody.
I mean, yeah,
Can you
Cody. That'd be really good.
Dude, do you imagine the shit he would say to Cody? Good God Almighty.
You know, maybe he can even don the tassels. You know, the Bucks don't necessarily wear the tassels no more, but which is kind of a heartbreaking thing. Well, I'll get to that later, but yeah. Mickey
it's
James.
It's fine. It's for heat.
Yeah. Mickey James, they let her go. Mickey James is 41. They haven't really used her a lot.
They really have. Ever since she tore her ACL, it's almost like they don't use, like, they've just pretending like she doesn't exist.
Yeah. Mickey James can walk into anywhere she wants. NWA. I know Ring of Honor is trying to restart their women's stuff. She can walk into AEW and, you know, essentially beat Natalya.
Can go back to Impact.
Impact, yeah. I don't know if she'll do that, though.
I doubt it. Remember, you know how they killed her off last time?
Didn't she get, like, run over by a train or some shit?
Yes.
Yeah.
She was put on the train tracks to die. Like, it was a fucking, like, 1920 vaudevillian play. Yes.
Jesus Christ. But yeah, we know how they look at, you know, women in the company, and especially like older age women, and it's not good. So
right.
Eventually, like, you know, she was on the chopping block to be cut. The Iconics, Peyton Royce kind of got, you know, they broke up their team, and then they apparently were going to push Peyton Royce at one point. It was going to be big pushes for Peyton Royce and Bianca Belair. Bianca got the big push. Peyton did not. I
have a question. Why in a division with such a lack of depth? And I'm talking about both main roster women's divisions. On rosters with such a lack of depth, why do you decide to only push one person when there's two fucking divisions? Does that make fucking sense to you? Like, it feels like these divisions always, because of whether it's injury or whatever, or shuffling or whatever else, there feels like there's only like 4 people you can actually rely on consistently for a full year out of these.
Right.
So it's like the big push. You need like 4 fucking big pushes at all times to try to get people elevated to where, like, oh, we can buy this person, you know, getting a title shot in 2 months. They never do that. They just, your turn. Go out there.
We don't use them for months, and then put them in makeshift tag teams, and we talked about, like, the laziness of the women's booking, the main roster, like,
for years
ad nauseum.
For years,
and as much as it's changed at the tip top of it, like, it ain't enough. Like, especially like with how many spots they have dedicated to recruiting women's talent. If you look at NXT, like, the pipeline that they just keep loading up, and it's like, these people need more spots. Like, more spots need to be opened up. Like, less like funky ass dudes need to be around. But that never really happens. Billie Kay, legitimately someone that people like. People dug her comedic timing. She's probably the worst wrestler on the roster. But if she's a perfect example, and I believe it was a big Reddit post about that, of when WWE, like when you get over and you're not supposed to, or like people like you or whatever, and they didn't kind of, intend for it to go that way, like they shit can you. And it's like, that sucks for her. But they can do their act on the indies. There's a lot of places they could go, and the thought of Billie Kay on BTE fucking intrigues me for some weird reason. Let me see. Chelsea Green. I think Chelsea Green's a star, but it just never, like, tons of bad luck.
I don't get it. I don't.
Tons of bad luck, and I'm privy to some information regarding her, but I think you can get over that. If someone's like a kind of a sharp edge, like if they complain a lot or something, like, you can kind of get past that. Especially if the person has talent and a look, and also this should have worked, but it didn't. Right.
What was it? Shimmer 100 we saw versus Madison Eagles?
I believe that was her that wrestled.
Or am I thinking of Deanna?
No, it was Deanna Prazo versus Madison Eagles.
So I forgot, who did she wrestle at? Whatever, doesn't matter. Whatever. But we've seen her a few times. She's a good fucking wrestler.
She was on All In. She was in the Fatal 4-Way.
No, but I'm saying, like, we've seen her for years. Like, she's been good for years. She's been a good wrestler in the ring for years. Like, the Laurel Van Ness thing in Impact, like, she had a character. Like, you say all that stuff about people have characters and all that stuff. And so, like, even when they were doing the Rob Stone brand stuff with her, like, she had presence before they pulled her up to do absolutely nothing with her. It's just really weird. Her ace left the company, is an Impact, did very well for herself, hitting the ground running into that division that is slept on, obviously. I don't know if she wants to go back to that, but she's a talented person. Like, if I was AEW, I give her a call. I give her a call, and I would try to push her towards the top of that division, given how she can wrestle, given
I believe she's been linked with Britt in the past too. Like, either they were some type of team, or like there's pictures of them out there.
Was Britt her young girl?
I think they're contemporaries. They're not necessarily like, as far as like when Britt started training, like it was right around the same time Chelsea. So
wow,
you could always do that. One of the ones that I saw that it looks like he's taking the news and he was happy. He was celebrating his freedom and he's looking to hit the podcast circuit. It looks like it's Tucker Knight.
Yeah, I saw that.
I think I've always thought Tucker had something. I don't know what it is, but he was a big dude that was very agile. That I don't know necessarily about his talking ability, because like, it's hard to like stand out when you're standing next to Otis, like as far as a personality.
Right.
But in the ring, he was a big guy that was worth something.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely not a stiff. I
immediately call him and ask him if he wants to work AEW Dark. That's a no-brainer. And he's like 6'6".
I had in my mind, I was like, why is he not going to be like the third person in Bear Country? That's my immediate thought when I saw he was gone. I was like, yeah, he could be in Bear Country. In fact, he might, like, given that match that I saw from them the other week, like, given how rough it was, like, they could use him. Like, you've seen more of them than I have, but like that match with
I think that was their worst match I've ever seen.
Yeah. It was, it was weird, but like, yeah, like Tucker could fit into that stable. Obviously, they're probably not going to do that, but I'm just saying as a joke, like, yeah, just spot for him right there if they wanted to. Trios champs.
He also could like hit the indies, and depending on how he plays it, he could go to Japan. Like,
think so?
I think he could. Like, especially like I don't know about New Japan, but if he wanted to go somewhere else,
yeah. If he wanted to go to like Noah or DDT or something like that, yeah. Probably All Japan, maybe Big Japan. He might not want to do that much deathmatch wrestling.
Right. I think this dude has talent, and I think WWE missed the boat on him, especially while there are still guys like Jackson Riker running around.
Yeah,
like because of the body and stuff like that.
And that's the thing with WWE is like, did they miss opportunity with Chelsea and with Joe when they had the chance, or to find a role for them at all times or most times in someone like the Iconics or whatever else? Like, yeah. But WWE, aside from like the Russo era, has never really given that much of a fuck about the below upper mid card tier stuff. Like, they worry about the big picture things, and everything else they'll fit into place around it. And whether it makes sense or not, that's not why you're here to watching. I think that's less of a truthful, like less of an honest and genuine mindset when like you have 50-50 all but like 5 people. But yeah, like they have so much talent, they're going to miss these opportunities because like they have so much talent. Like if they miss out on a Samoa Joe, okay, there's a Karrion Kross. If they miss out on the Iconics, okay, there's Shotzi and Ember, or Dakota and Raquel.
Mandy and Dana.
Right. Like if they, like that's kind of the thing with, like, if they miss out on Tucker Knight, okay, they got Bronson Reed. So they have too much talent for their own good. And, even under the best conditions, we're going to have people, wish that they could do things and not be creatively fulfilled. And them's the breaks of signing on to the number one wrestling promotion in the world. Hopefully you make some good money. Hopefully you make some connections to meet people down the line if this doesn't work out for you. Hopefully you can be able to stack up some money. Hopefully you're able to take some type of find some way to get yourself better when your number's not called upon you, and you keep pushing hard, and maybe you do get to eventually break through like someone like an Apollo does, or whatever else. But it's really hard. It's really hard there. It is. Even NXT, that's a lot more lax, and people are able to show a lot more what they can do. It's still hard. It's still their style. It's still their way. And the most you can do is hope that you can get enough trust from the people that are the showrunners to let you do a bit of your thing. And I think most people go into WWE understanding that. I think that, but I don't think it makes any less frustrating or any less frustrating when like you try to do everything you can, or you don't want to do something that you think is dumb, and you have to play the whole thing. Is that the hill you want to die on, or whatever else? Because like we talk. Vince like talk about the brass ring, people are pushovers in the third, and then you have, people like, I guess, people that say they, no, that doesn't work for them, or no, how about we try to do something else to make me look less stupid, or I think that's not a good idea, and then they get labeled with difficult or whatever else. So, there's no right way to really handle this other than like try your best. And I believe a lot of these people are putting their best foot forward, but like the top of the company is a dysfunction right now as far as its decision making long term, and even like 2 months from now. So it's got to be frustrating. It's got to be.
Kalisto and Bo Dallas. Kalisto had got himself in like ridiculous condition. You would think he's got plenty of options of being a high flyer. He could go to MLW. I think that'd be a good spot for him, especially MLW's got that TV deal on Vice. And he's fresh. They haven't used him. Dude, Bo Dallas, he's been preparing for life after wrestling for a while on his farm with Liv Morgan, getting into real estate. So one for the lore. I don't know how that works with the Fiend that Bo is gone, but
I had no idea that Liv Morgan and Bo Dallas were dating, but good for them, I guess.
Yep. But yeah, man, lots of people, they could end up a bunch of places, and it's good to see wrestlers, move around and get in different, surroundings. But it just sucks knowing that they didn't have to necessarily be cut.
Yeah, I mean, and ultimately, if something comes out of this, where Tucker Knight does something of note, or Samoa Joe goes somewhere and does something awesome, or Chelsea or whoever else, Kalisto, that kind of do something fucking hilarious, right? Like end up on BTE and just end up hilarious. Like that's more than they were doing in WWE. So like it does stink for them on a personal level that like they got shit canned, or it didn't work out the way they thought it was and they want out of WWE, but hopefully they can find something else to do, and they'll find themselves some type of getting themselves recognition they're looking for, the creative fulfillment that they're looking for.
Right. Next thing we're gonna talk about was the Kenny Omega and Rich Swann press conference. Now, James, I don't know if you've seen this.
I have not,
but
I saw that you hyped it up a lot. I just didn't get around to it. Sorry about that.
Yeah. It's a 42-minute press conference. I believe their match is in 5 days. Of course, it's title for title. Winner take all.
Is there a 60-minute time limit?
They haven't mentioned anything about a time limit yet. I think this is one of the best pieces of like promoting a match that I've seen in a long time. They treated it dead serious. They treated it like an MMA press conference, but Kenny turned up his character to a level that like just a quick remark for everything. Him and Don playing off each other. Tony Khan's there. Scott D'Amore's there. Rich Swann looking like this humble everyman, like a Ricky Steamboat esque, type vibe. And it was just, I think, something that wrestling companies everywhere can learn from. And if I'm not mistaken, NXT did like one of these press conference deals recently too, right?
No, they did a contract signing. They did it on the top of the ramp.
Gotcha.
With Cole and O'Reilly.
So it's like 42 minutes, and they're taking questions from everybody from Dave Meltzer to like Ariel Helwani, and just tons of people that they get on for this. They're going back and forth, and just overall, like, I can't recommend this high enough, especially if you can watch it before their match Sunday. This would, like, in a normal, like, functioning major promotion or something, this sells pay-per-views. And I'm looking forward to see like what type of business it does. It looks like Kenny's probably gonna bring home the belt. They've kind of hinted at there will be a winner in this, so there's not gonna be like the champion versus champion fuckery. So we'll see if they hold to that. But 42 minutes of excellence, like Impact, the way they frame Kenny Omega is like very different from how AEW frames him. I would.
Do you want to go into that?
Yes, because there's something else that is popped up in the wake of this. Like, and I'm trying to figure out why it's happening, but I just haven't like put my finger on it. And part of me thinks it's a storyline, kind of adherence, but AEW has not promoted this match at all. They, in the press conference, they talked about should Rich Swann win, he would make the commitments to be on Dynamite and, stuff like that, and, promoter talk, whatever. But on AEW's TV, whether it's Elevation, where Kenny was on this week with, and a 6-man, Dark, or Dynamite, it's like, you don't know this match exists. So I wonder why that is. Like, is it a situation where in storyline, it doesn't make sense for AEW to promote Kenny because he's done this dastardly deal where he's run off to Impact or something like that, but they don't seem to have a problem when the Impact guys come in. So I feel like there's going to be a reason that we learn later on, like what, and if we just haven't learned it yet, and it's driving me nuts, like trying to figure it out, like why they're not promoting like Kenny Omega more, going to Impact, picking up another world title, or is it just like, yeah, he won another fucking belt somewhere, like, and even with the AAA stuff, like they have rarely like mentioned, like they'll mention in passing, like when Laredo Kid shows up, oh, you know, him and Kenny Omega had a great match, like, you know, in AAA or whatever, but what's going on here?
Yeah, you got a point there. I mean, I don't know, maybe he has to get the 3 belts, and I don't know. I think that once he has the Impact belt, I think we'll finally get a idea of what he's trying to do. But you know, they're slow rolling all of this stuff.
Right.
All of this Impact stuff, like obviously Callis is there most weeks, and so is Gallows and Anderson. But like they've been like, we've been kind of waiting for shoes to drop, and the only thing we really got is like the Young Bucks are heels for now. So I don't know, like I really don't know. It's interesting to see where they end up at. Like, probably, I think we'll start getting answers by this coming pay-per-view. I think the shoe has to drop on whatever they're trying to do. They have to like finally kind of give us a concrete direction by the time we get through this next pay-per-view. Otherwise, I don't really know.
Right. So I don't know if it's a case where they want Kenny to pick up this title kind of now, to where they can promote something on the other half of it to start thinking about who his double or nothing opponent is going to be. My guess is Chris Jericho, but who knows? Is it a rematch with Rich Swann? Is it Chris Jericho? Is it Christian Cage? Is it Pac? Is it, you know, like, who is it? You know, who is it? As Michael Jackson would say. But yeah, it's like, I'm wondering like where they're going with Kenny, because he's been doing a lot of like, you know, he's been doing his TV programs with like the Seidel brothers and stuff like that. But I think they need a more concrete direction with him. But maybe it's a case of they've shifted the Rubik's Cube to bring to spotlight the Bucks more. And it's like, it's taking Kenny out of focus until it's time to bring him back in focus. So that's the only thing I can think of. But press conference, go out of your way to see this. Not lying. I put up a simple tweet encouraging people to watch it. It was like over 100 likes on it. So, yeah, like I can't recommend it high enough. Like one of the best things you'll see from like Kenny Omega peaking as a character, I feel like right here. If you're wondering like what the fuck, like the cockiness, the arrogance, the rudeness, the just the quick wit, like this is it right here. Rich Swann, you know, he's trying his best to hang in there, like to not get swallowed essentially. And you can feel it there, but there's a simple, like I said before, there's like a simple everyman quality about him. It's like, hey man, shut this nigga the fuck up. Like shut him up, please. And win this belt when no one thinks you can. So like, yeah. There's something there.
So, all right, they make Omega the champion. I remember you teasing, or you telling me that like it felt like they were teasing a match with Moose. Do you think that is the person that's going to take the belt off of Kenny after he gets it?
If it's me, I would do that. However, knowing Moose's contractual status, I don't think it's going to be Moose. I think it's going to end up being someone else.
So who is it?
I would have to look at the Impact roster, sir. But
maybe you don't have the answer. Do you think D'Amore and Callis have the answer?
They would have to have the answer.
That's the point of putting a fucking big bad on top to be just this fucking, you know, lording over the title person, that have somebody in mind to eventually go and take the top of the person to make the new star, or
the only person I can
reestablish a new star, or reestablish a star.
Like there's a couple options. There's like Ace Austin, which I wouldn't do that personally, but the one I can circle, kind of see like miles away on this thing, is Chris Bay. And this isn't a company that has like, he's young enough. He can be their signature star. He's never been the world champion before.
He was their X Division champion a year ago, right?
Yes. Like, I'm looking for certain qualities. Like, you can be, it could, maybe it's a Willie Mack as a dark horse, but for me,
that'd be
I think
fun
it's
match.
They were in a 6-man together that I didn't catch, that I need to watch. And I saw a couple gifs and I was impressed, for sure. But I think Chris Bay fits the profile of like being like, yo, who do you want to like strap your company to? Like Rich Swann's like a great veteran guy, whatever.
Yeah.
He can hand the belt, whatever.
But he's longer in the tooth. Yeah,
he's long in the tooth. Like Eddie Edwards, long in the tooth. Same deal there. Like, you really want to put it on Matt Cardona? I don't. Like, and I don't think Kenny's about to be like, I'm about to lose the belt to him. No, that's not fucking happening. But if it's a case where like they build the right guy up, which I feel like it's Chris Bay, based on his age and working ability, and he's gonna have to still step up a great deal, I think, to like class wise. Like it's like boxing where it's like, yeah, man, like you got to step up to world class. Like, like Chris Bay got to step up another class.
Yeah, like it's cool to have your your good ass matches in the mid card. But it's another thing to have to like main event biggest match of your life.
Right.
Like, yeah.
Yeah, if it's not Moose, I'm picking Chris Bay with Willie as a dark horse. So, yeah, but I can't wait for the match Sunday. Can't wait to act real ignorant on the timeline. So, it's been a great year.
Do you think we need to watch?
For the
Okay,
Omega Army.
I need to find out what the rest of the card is. I need to find out what the rest of the card is.
The rest of the card looked kind of like something. Can't lie.
They only do pay-per-views like what, 5 of them a year, 4 of them a year.
I'm not sure how many they do. It might be 4.
Yeah,
it might be 4 with like special ones. So our card is Rich Swann versus Kenny Omega, title for title. Finn Juice versus the Good Brothers for the tag team belts. Deonna Purrazzo versus Tenille Dashwood. 3-way match for the X Division. Ace Austin, Josh Alexander versus TJP.
When's the last time you seen Tenille Dashwood wrestle?
Been a while.
Same here.
Matt Cardona versus Brian Myers. So yes, they explode the homeboys. We got Trey McGill.
What was their team in WWE in 2019 and 18 and 19? I forgot what their team was called.
Yeah, my friend. Same. I will find out. They were the Major Brothers at one point, but their most recent name was, and I'm still looking. Yeah.
Maybe they didn't have a name.
I think it was just Ryder and Hawkins.
Okay.
If I'm not mistaken.
All right. I mean, edgeheads, so whatever.
Yeah. They fighting each other. So there's Trey McGill versus Sami Callihan in the last man standing match. And then there's a 8-man tag between Chris Sabin, Eddie Edwards, James Storm, and Willie Mack against Violent by Design. That's Eric Young, Diener, Joe Doring, and Rhino. And then there's Fire and Flava versus Jordan Grace and a partner to be determined. So that's Kiera Hogan and Tasha Steelz. So
yeah,
that was decent,
So who do you think is the mystery partner for Jordan Grace?
Let's see. Trying to think women on the independent circuit. It could be literally anybody. I don't think it's obviously there's no one from WWE or anything. But,
like it won't be Mickie James or it won't be Chelsea Green because like they have 90 days. They got 90 no competes, right?
You know who it could be?
Who?
What the hell is her name?
Havoc.
Zelina Vega.
Oh yeah. Huh.
That's gonna be my prediction. So, yeah, but that was pretty much it with the Omega and Swann thing. But we just pretty much so Wednesday was the first week of the separate shows. NXT was on Tuesday, AEW was on Wednesday. Both shows went up in ratings. AEW went way up to 1.2 million. I believe it was 0.44 in the demo. NXT did 806, I believe, or 805, 0.22 in the demo. So not too much up from their demo number of last week with the takeover. So just a what do you make of that? Like, I don't really know. Like the AEW over 50 was way up. Mm-hmm. They got their women back. They got, like, after a couple of weeks of ratings where it wasn't, great or anything, but they were doing awesome stuff on the show. It seems like it all kind of paid off this week. Like,
I didn't hear, I haven't followed any of the Meltzer and Alvarez stuff lately, but I heard one podcast where he was, I don't want to say freaking out, but he kept hitting on this point that that they've lost women over these last couple of weeks. Where have they gone? What has happened? And I think he kept correlating it to too much blood or too many, death matches, or not death matches, but you get my point. No DQ, also, beat the fuck out of you with weapon type matches.
The factions, they were saying this was the people everywhere were trying to come up with reasons for whatever, but it was just
I don't think the factions thing is a thing though. Do they have too many people on their show for my liking? Yeah, kind of. But it doesn't really... I mean, obviously, it's my personal taste does not affect the personal taste of potentially 2 million other fans that may or may not tune in given on, on a given Wednesday night. But I don't really see why the faction thing would hurt fans. They've had people that they've established as stars or people they were tracking for Stardom, and those people remain eventing like Darby, and putting on, they still had the Young Bucks matches, and I thought they were doing too many death matches in the span of between the Matt Hardy and Darby match, the Arcade Anarchy match, the the non-explosive death match, and the Britt Baker and Sheeta, or not Britt Baker and Sheeta, Britt Baker and Thunder Rosa match. They did that was 4 of those matches in 6 weeks. And I'm quite frankly burned out on them doing those matches, and but I don't know. I didn't think it was that big of a deal. But as far as the faction thing, I think their issue isn't the faction as much as it is people that have been established on BTE or Dark or Darker or Darkest. How many Darks are there? How many versions of Darks are there?
2. There's Dark Elevation, and then there's regular old Dark.
All right, so Dark Elevation, I'm calling Dark from here on out. Between the Darks, I almost want to call them the Darkies.
Don't do that.
What the fuck is wrong with me? This is fucking poison. Anyway, so between those shows and those places where they put content, they've established people on those shows. They do an honest job of trying to show you this person did this on this, that is reflected on for why they have this record, but it still is a mind fuck if you're watching Dynamite and you're like, wait, this person's won 7 of 8. When? I've only seen this person lose. So and that's the thing when you are honestly trying to cycle on and off talent to try to keep them fresh, and keep matchups fresh and protecting matchups. That's gonna get tough. That show 2 weeks ago was one of those things popping up. Is it didn't feel too good, but last week's show made kind of, it was a bounce back after the one weird show, but
and the 3 shows before that were very strong.
Maybe it was I don't know,
I think it was WrestleMania season.
There's that. There's definitely that. I think there's also the part where, coming out of that pay-per-view, we really didn't get any like definitive, because of the fuckery with the thing not going off. It screwed them up or whatever they were trying to do, and like the Moxley and the Kingston thing, as far as like, okay, so he keeps coming back and they keep taking him out, putting him on the shelf. And he has a broken leg, but he is wrestling, or he's back here. He's not been told to go the fuck home. Like, it's, like, that was kind of unsatisfying for now. Like, I'm not saying they can't turn that around, but it's like, they've had good stuff, but I think like that was the biggest thing they had, and I think that hurt them. I think this was the bounce back though. As far as them getting the 1.2 million,
1.2,
1.2, like that's that's quite frankly expected. And I think like you sent me a text or a screenshot of somebody saying they were going to point out that like if you point out when that first weekend of October. And compare like, SmackDown number 2, SmackDown this week, and then the first AEW Dynamite week to this, you see how they've retained, and I was like, that's disingenuous. Like, first off, the NXT being on Wednesday artificially held down whatever Dynamite really was going to be. So, like, for them to then leave and then them to come back, have these fans like, hell, they may have been doing 1.2 this whole fucking time for all we know. If not for NXT, we'll never know. Maybe we'll know, over when we start getting more data in the weeks going forward. But, there's more fans watching, and we'll see where this goes. Like, I think that they're set up to have some cool stuff. But like, when is the next pay-per-view? The end of May.
May 26th or something. May 29th.
All right, so we're what, 5 weeks out, 4 weeks out, something like that. So we'll start getting some answers on what they're going to do soon. Like, May 5th is the Blood and Guts thing, so that'll be big. That'll be a big show for them. Like I wouldn't, the stuff they were. It was weird. Like, Meltzer always talks about trends, whatever else, and then, like, he freaked out over 2 weeks of numbers. It felt like. It was weird.
Wonder why.
It's weird. You're right. It probably was just WrestleMania season. Like, there's too much fucking wrestling.
That's really what I think it is.
It's like,
it was WrestleMania
too much wrestling.
Season. WrestleMania actually, like, came off well. Even though Raw's follow-ups weren't great, they did great numbers. And in the weeks before that, like, WWE just put out a flood of content.
Right.
Like,
and TakeOver did a huge number. They ran an actual fucking TakeOver on their show, as a show stand-in, and like that was the best show of WrestleMania week.
So, some of the stuff I liked, obviously, the Young Bucks versus the Death Triangle.
Great match.
Meltzer gave it 5 stars. I think I gave it 4 3/4.
I gave it 4.5 because I compare like other people's matches. So like I'm thinking, all right, Young Bucks matches, like Young Bucks matches versus Phoenix. This isn't as good as you know what I'm saying?
Funny little subcategories,
right?
Funny.
So I'm thinking, my man, like, okay, regular rules match. Like, I think it's unfair to compare the ladder match of Death, right? But like their first match, right? That was Double Nothing, right?
Yep. Yeah,
I was like, that match is better. So I was like, if you give it 4 3/4, fine. I was somewhere calling like the 4.6 range. So
yeah, the Bucks came out all new gear.
I like the gear.
I liked it too.
It looked clean.
It looked a little funny, but
it's not colorful.
It's not really colorful, but it's flashy still. So like I get it.
I like cool gray. I like cool gray.
Yeah.
So
they were wearing the Dior ones, which got Twitter's attention. And, they are in full troll asshole mode. Somebody, some stan tried to come out here and say, their shit was fake or whatever, and then some sneakerhead or whatever, who may or may not have been like some stan, but
the way the thing for me was the way they preface it is like someone needs to say this because the AEW fans are hardcore are pretending and not saying this. Meanwhile, during the match, the crowd chanted at them that their Jordans were fake in the middle of the fucking match. So I was like, wait, what? What do you mean someone's just saying it? The crowd fucking said it. What are you talking about?
I missed that part, but like
I howled when the crowd chanted that shit.
I don't know, James. I'm 32 years old. I don't have like the eye to be figuring out whose shoes is fake at this point, unless it's some obvious shit. Like this man was like pointing out, you see this 2 inches, it looks different. I'm like, yo, this is like the nerdiest shit I've ever seen.
Look, I don't
like,
know.
Touch a titty. Like I don't.
Wow. Like I didn't like. Look, fake or not, I don't care. Like whatever. Yeah. Like I remember.
It works either way. Either A, they got money and you're pissed off like that they wrestling in these shoes, or B,
this is where I was going with that. This is where I was going with that, right? I remember Chad Johnson, like back when the Bengals had Hard Knocks. He was like obviously the star for that particular preseason or that training camp. They followed him going to I think it was a Claire's jewelry store, and go get him some fake, some cubic zirconium joints, put them in his ear. And he was like, I'm rich. No one can tell the difference. And I think before he even said that, like, he was pointing out that, like, I have the real ones. I just don't want to go to a football field with them on and lose them. Like, I remember years ago, there was a Miami Dolphins player where, like, they, after practice, like, there was him and a team and a few other people, like basically walking hand in hand, walking the field to try to find some, dozens of thousands of dollar earrings that had fell out his ear. And I was like, why would you? First off, like, unless you're like T.O. and you're just like so good that like you don't care, why would you ever wear earrings while playing football? That sounds like the dumbest thing ever. But whatever. Chad Ocho can do that. Chad or whatever. You guy that's like been in the league 3 years, what are you doing? But what, like, the thing for me is like, yes, the Young Bucks have enough money to have some fucking creases. Yes, it's funny if the rich guy got hosed or whatever else. Or whatever, but like I took it as that. It's like it wasn't like, oh, they're lame. It was like, oh, the rich guys got hosed. Haha. It was like, and they're also heels, so fuck them. Like that's the kind of I took it. I took it like I thought about it for like 5 seconds and moved on with the rest of the match.
Which was an awesome match.
Yeah,
like just
it was
incredible. Like the Bucks, like they're about to now show that instead of being the best babyface working tag team, now they're going to be the best heel working tag team. Phoenix was just like doing him, of course.
Right. Go get 40.
Yeah, like, and this is the kind of wrestling that Rich Latta loves and enjoys.
One thing that I will say that I did not like about the match was at the start, and Sam actually pointed out on, which surprised me. I figured he would have loved it, but when they started the match, and with him and Pac in the ring, and Matt backs up into the babyface corner, and he sticks his hand out for the tag, and then he realizes like, oh yeah, I'm a bad guy now. And like Phoenix just doesn't take advantage of that, and he makes a face like, "Oh yeah, we are bad guys now." Yeah, I hated that because it's like I'm watching the match live. The match just started. He backs into the corner, and I'm like, as he's back into the corner, he's looking dead at Pac, which means who's also in his field of vision, Rich? Nick in the fucking corner. That's stupid. But once they got past that. It was fun. Like I actually weirdly he got me doing the heel doing the hot tag thing. I was like, this is fucking. Bro,
I was like,
this is such a mockery of my fucking suspension of disbelief. They'd be like, oh, I'm a bad guy, so now I'm going to. But the Young Bucks doing that on purpose, so I'm like, whatever. So it's like, no, aside from the two things, like. They don't think this is great. They're just like, well, I'm trying to get heat real quick, and then we'll continue with the match or whatever. So like for me, it's like aside from the two things, like I love the match, but it was also fucking hilarious. Like when he super kicks Phoenix, I didn't hate this out, but I was just like, this is fucking, like, we're at the point where the way they're wrestling is like, anything goes, you can do anything, like, there are no rules. If a motherfucker starts flying, fine. If a motherfucker, like, literally starts levitating off the ground, fine at this point. When he super kicked Phoenix, with his foot over the top of the barricade, Phoenix sells it for like a split second and then just does the roll in and then hits him with the cutter. I was like, all right, what wrestling physics is them? But I didn't hate it. I thought it was still fun. But yeah, man, it was a great match. It really was. And
down to the finish, they snatch his mask and they show that they ain't shit.
Yeah.
So
I'm wondering at what point will it get long in the tooth where they put Phoenix, because he's been like the first or second best wrestler in the ring in AEW since October, the last 6-7 months. At what point will it get long in the tooth to keep putting him in these positions where he loses all the time?
Yeah,
I don't think we're necessarily there yet, but I feel like it's coming soon, because like, how many times is he going to be against like the top guys and he does the job?
Yeah, it seems like he's always getting he's getting stuck with the L, because it's like, well, who's he teaming with? He's got Pac with him. Do you want to beat Pac? Probably not. They don't pin Pentagon often, so it seems true. Like he just kind of gets stuck there. So I don't know. I think they'll know when they pass that point, because like at this point, he took to Instagram. He was really upset, and if this could end up in some type of mass versus hair thing, I would fucking
versus Nick.
Or versus both the Bucks or whatever, and Bucks got to like cut that shit like that. Look, for me, that would be like the ultimate, like, oh, all these jobs were worth it.
Yo, so the reason why I'm laughing at it is because it's like, obviously, Brother Phoenix has came home, right?
Oh yeah, long ago.
And it's like, so he's going to have, like, obviously, like, he has no shame in his game. He don't care, right? But it's funny. It's like, so he's going to take the hair of Nick Jackson.
Yes, and put it under the mask.
What? It's like,
hang it from the mask.
No, so it's like, either, like, technically it's really a hair versus hair match either way. Like, whoever loses, we're gonna see a bald head either way really fucking soon if they do that match. But yeah, like, I'm at a point with Nick Jackson, bro. Like, every time Nick Jackson loses the headband, I feel like LeBron. I feel like it's like LeBron in 2012 finals, where it's like, he ain't pick it up. He ain't okay. All right.
Bro,
remember when LeBron? Remember, like, LeBron, what was it? He scored like 20 points in the end of games, the fourth quarter, game 6, when they were down, and it's like the headband that came off at that point. That man was like, my fucking legacy is on the line. Like, I ain't got time to be worried about this fucking headband.
Death of the headband.
Like, yeah, like, and then, obviously 2016 is when he ditched the headband full time. But it's like the same thing. A lot of thing for me is like Nick Jackson beat these epic matches, and like the headband come off sometimes. I'm like, does he want to go get the headband back, or is he cool? Is he fine right now? I think he spent too much time making fun of Nick Jackson. But yeah, great match, man. Really great match.
Yeah. Jade and Red Velvet.
Do you think it should have been an opener, or do you think it should have been the main event?
Yes. I think it should have been an opener. Just because, like, I feel like they haven't done a match in the opener like that since Kenny versus Pac. And what better way to, like, show people that, hey, we've got this massive match coming up. We know y'all want it. And then to go 30 minutes. And it's such a departure from, like, the night before NXT had opened with Karrion Kross cutting a promo. Right?
Yeah.
And AEW's like, we're going to open up with a fucking work rate classic, and it's going to go 30 minutes, and then that's going to keep, I thought it was just a way to set themselves apart.
And it's also taking advantage of the fact that, like, even though I think that, like, this was probably, this week's show was probably the best NXT following a takeover and maybe ever that I've ever saw, but I still think that, like, you had 2 new title changes. You know what they have to do to come out. They have to start out with the new face of the company, of the brands, or new faces of the brand at some point cutting promos or whatever else, and they did that at different points with Raquel, and obviously opening with Carrie. So it's like they took advantage of that, knowing it's like, all right, like we know Matt Hardy versus Darby is going to be better than those four in the ring together, but let's try to establish Darby as a actual main eventer, and he's main evented what two, three times in like last few in last 2 months. So like they're doing the work with him right now, which I do appreciate, is because it felt like it was going to be like his title reign was going to be about Sting and the fact that like he's not as big of a star as Cody. So like I do appreciate what they're doing with Darby right now.
Red Velvet and Jade had a solid little match.
I like the match.
They've developed this thing, and I thought it was a nice way to pay it off. Both of them looking like very solid ads.
Well laid out. You can see that Jade is still green, but the fact that she can go through this match and it doesn't suck, it's like, just wait. She could be really good. She could be really good. And, Red Velvet, very good showing. Like somebody that should be a foundational piece of the women's division in AEW going forward, given what we've seen from her. At least that I've seen from her. You've seen more, obviously.
Yeah. Like she's super solid. Like, you need Red Velvets to
I like her.
To be like, she can play a lot. She's an ultimate utility piece right now. She's like a Sami Zayn type where she can wrestle lots of different people. Obviously, she's wrestling a bigger wrestler than her now, but like, what about when she gets in there with someone that can kind of match her speed and, kind of similar size? I think it'd be pretty good. Like, her and Thunder Rosa would, I think, be pretty excellent. And Jade, like, I would handcuff her to Dustin Rhodes, like, and it seems like that's already the case. So handcuff her to Dustin and just keep letting it work out. One last thing that kind of lit up the timeline as far as the discussion. Anthony Ogogo made his debut, and he wrestled some jobber guy. And Cole Carter was his name. He decked this gentleman in the midsection area with a punch, and that was the end of the match. What did you think about this, James?
He hit Cody in the gut 2-3 weeks ago, right?
Folded him,
and he folded up like origami. Yep. And then he hit a jobber, and he folded up like origami.
Right.
What's the problem?
Apparently, this caused an uproar, like,
So
of all the bad faith, like, if people can kick out of Canadian destroyers, people can't kick out a punch. I'm like, what they're doing is establishing a simple move from an Olympic boxer.
So when Matt Riddle made Cassius Ohno tap out to strikes, where were those people?
Probably cheering.
That was fucking awesome when that happened. Him punching a dude in the gut. Look, man, I am all for flash finishes against jobbers.
Yes.
I am all for
finishes, period. That's why I like the WrestleMania main event so much.
Right. I am all for finishes that are in relation to legitimate fights. Like, it shouldn't be, and we've seen this a lot, but like, it shouldn't be just like you can do anything and the only thing that matters is someone tapped out, someone got pinned for 3 seconds, or somebody didn't get in the ring in 10 or 20 seconds.
I think it's another way to end the match.
Right.
Who knows if this is even his finishing move?
Like, think about this. One of the best ongoing little story pieces in the last 7 months has been Finn Balor hitting a fucking soul butt and somebody getting hit with a liver shot and going the fuck down. That happens in real fucking fights. Like, that O'Reilly match, one of the best matches of last year. That cross match where he hit him, that was a great match. I'm sorry, like, you're never going to get me to say that, hey, you did a finish that happens in real fighting, and this is a dramatization of real fighting. Like, unless it's some type of screwball finish to ease your way, to sucker your way out of, like, giving us a clean finish, something like that. Or I think it, like, completely damages some wrestler that is supposed to be, tracking or pushed. That's what's my problem with it. Like, this kind of thing, it's a jobber. Who cares? If he had huffed and puffed and blew him over like the fucking Wolf and Red Riding Hood, I'm sorry, and the three pigs or whatever else, I wouldn't give a shit. I take that back. I would have cared about that. But my point is, like, he's a jobber. Kill him.
I think Anthony Ogogo has a great presence. He looks like money. He can talk. And this thing, like, if you can have him just kill like 20 people with this thing, like, do it on Dark, do it on Elevation, do it on Dynamite, like to end the segment or whatever. Be like, yeah, we got somebody else that wants to try to step up the Go-Go, and then eventually there's gonna be somebody that he punches that maybe the punching power ain't gonna quite, hit off the same way, and then we get something else with him, or he gets one of the most feared finishes or like moves in the business, or the company.
Right.
And I think that's a great way to set him apart and also play into what he naturally is in real life, is a boxer.
Right. And there is also a guy that's in AEW right now that made about $1 million a year for about 2 decades for most of his career, using a punch as a finish and saving the punch for certain times. Like, there's a track record of this happening in wrestling. Like, yes, like maybe people were freaked out for the fact that, like, AEW doesn't really do squashes, so it caught people off the wrong way, and it was a gut punch or whatever else. But, like, nah, man,
this is a guy who has not been established thus far, and it's AEW doing something that's different. And when AEW does different things, they tend to, like, pull out the worst of the internet.
Right. So like in 8 months, when Ogaga has his big match with somebody, right, that some babyface you really care about, and somewhere during the duration of the match, maybe a year and a half from now, when he has a big match, right, and he hits somebody in the gut and they go fucking down and they sell it like that Finn Balor liver shot thing, right? What people aren't going to be able to say that then, could be like, because everybody's going to point like, he's been knocking people the fuck out of here. He's been getting people the fuck out of here with that. Like, nah, man. Like, I get that people
watch when he punches Hangman Page on the side and then he falls, and then y'all gonna be trying to hand y'all beers to Hangman to, like, wake him the fuck up. Like, all right.
Like, look, I hope next week. I don't want to be spiteful about it, but, like, I hope at some point he punches somebody and he makes him fucking puke.
Yeah, that was my only thing. I think he should have coughed up blood or something.
No. I didn't mean, like, that wasn't a note, but I'm saying like if they do that eventually, where somebody just backstage is, I'm going to pop. I'm going to pop. It's going to be fucking hilarious.
James Boy into the vomit, right?
Look, man, they could do he could hurl off camera or whatever else. Yeah. My point is, like, someone goes down and all of a sudden, like, oh, that person just threw up. Because he just got, he just got a sock to him.
Big win for Darby in the main event. Don't really have too much to say. Wild brawl craziness. Also, Jericho had beat Dax. This was the highest rated thing of the night. But yeah, I loved the show last week. But what was that NXT?
Cross comes out, puts over Balor, being a great champion.
A show I actually watched, like, almost everything but the last 15 minutes.
Okay. So, yeah. He comes out. He puts over Balor as being a great champion. Talks about how he's an all-timer and one of the best to ever step in the ring. But then says, but this is my ring. He thought that you could beat me by using my emotion against me, but you can't. He's like, but emotion's not a bad thing if you can control it. And then he basically goes on and says, like, anybody wants something, more or less get some, and I will end you. That was more or less the gist of what he was saying. I thought that his promo was strong. I think that Scarlett was stealing focus with her facial expressions in the wrong way. It was weird. It's the first time I've really ever had any issue with Scarlett. It's not really issues, more of it's like, oh, I didn't like that. It's like, but whatever. Then they ended up getting MSK versus Maverick and Dane after Maverick and Dane on the dark show of TakeOver last week won a number one contendership match against Breezango. MSK comes out. And the crowd boos them.
Yeah, I was kind of wondering what happened with that. Maybe it's too much too soon with these guys, or like, you know, maybe they didn't want those guys to win. They were going for grizzled young veterans. Like, what's the story on that?
People like Legato, right?
Yeah,
I do too. But they're heels, so it's like whatever. It was weird, like, you know. Anyway, they wrestled super hard in this match. Like, this was a match that would have been on a Dynamite, a young, like, Top Flight versus, I don't know, but like MSK felt like a Top Flight, like if they were Top Flight versus some, trying to think of some middle of the road tag team from AEW Dynamite, I can't remember, but whatever. Like, it's a fun match. Like, Wesley and Nash Carter, like, they ran around and jumped around and did a bunch of cool things. Like, I remember you thought that, or from what you've seen, like, you felt that Nash Carter is a jag. I think he's good. Like, not, like, obviously he's not fucking, Wesley. Wesley is, like, probably, he's potentially special, but I think he's good. And, you know, it was weird
Drake
because
Maverick doing flips and jeans.
Yeah, Drake Maverick was really good in this match, and obviously it was like, you know, he gets to go in there with those guys, and they can do all that kind of stuff with him, and they had a good thing. Like, there was a crazy spot where, Dane has one of them basically, like, you know, the shotgun position, and then another one ends up underneath him, and he basically like what do you call it? Like the Yokozuna drop from standing over the top of somebody while also like power or Michinoku driving somebody at the same time. Like, so that was cool. But yeah, ultimately at the end, they ended up getting MSK ends up like hitting like a million things on Maverick and Drake and win. It was a good match. It was probably like some 3 1/4 thing, but it's like, it went like 10 minutes. Like, there wasn't much. This is a show that was light on the wrestling. Like, no match I think went more than 12 minutes. But yeah, like, another thing to note is, they had Rhea come out, and Rhea put over Io, of course. It's weird because they had to do 2 of these in the same night. Like, great champion. It's my time now.
Io came out.
Rhea came. One thing I did like, she said, you know, I don't know if this is true or not, no idea, but she said, like, when we first moved to USA Network, I was set to start, and I was told I wasn't ready, and that burned and that hurt, and one person believed in me and brought me and got me back up and running by the time we got to Portland, and that was Dakota, and I couldn't have done this without you. Thank you. Dakota was very happy for her. And then she said that, like, I can't remember what she said, but basically got cut off, and then Rhea came down. You know, they did the classic rivals, been separated by time, go face to face, the Rock and Austin, you know, stare down, and then and then
3 whole months.
Right. Rhea, she brings down the Raw Women's title. They go face to face. They glare at each other. Then you see Rhea crack a smile. Raquel smiles. They hug each other. Then Bianca comes down, and then they show a picture of them from like 2 years ago backstage, and then they all hold up their titles and they triple hug. And it's funny because like that's been a Twitter picture that's been floating around on the Stardom versus for about like half a year now. It's crazy how like that all came around. So it was really cool. Like this is like they're their own generation of NXT women.
Yeah. Like, what? So are they like the Three Musketeers now?
No, I don't. I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say that. I mean,
I still think Raquel has a long way to go. It looks like she was like randomly a babyface now, just like without a turn. But before the two other chances came out, we got the debut of Ty Valkyrie, now known as Frankie Monet.
That's right.
So
that's right.
She kind of got cast as a heel in this thing, and
yes, because she is.
I don't think she needs to be the big smiling babyface. Like that's like they've seen everything. Like this feels like a classic WWE mistake of like, hey, get this person over as a big heel, and then flip them on a dime as a babyface champ, and it feels like Randy Orton in 2004. Like they got to be where they don't fall into that.
Could be. I think they're also reacting to this push worked. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, like she was a heel and she cheated in these matches to like prop Dakota up or whatever else. But like, she was a badass woman that's you know flexed and sneered. And like they hooked her up with all these like impressive power spots, and Rhea put her over like fucking gangbusters, and then Io put her over like gangbusters. It's like eventually people were going to cheer her, you know. Like obviously it's the Full Sail crowd, so a lot of people have seen her for years or whatever else and know about like how much she has improved. She still has a lot to go, but she is an improved wrestler. Like she's a wrestler I trust now as opposed to a wrestler like 7 months ago, nah, I wasn't there yet, but like probably since like December, probably Women's War Games, I was like, you know what? Maybe she's not fully ready, but like she's given to where she's how far she's came. I think she's eventually going to fully get it. Do I think she's going to eventually become like, I don't know. Do I think she's going to be like Jungle Kiona eventually? No. But she ain't gotta be. So yeah, but like the Frankie Monet thing, people were not freaking out. People had issues with the name. My only issue with the name is that like Frankie Monet sounds French and she is like talking in Spanglish. So I was like,
WWE renames people all the time. I'm like, man, obviously she's more recognizable as Ty Valkyrie. The Ty Valkyrie name is over. Right. It's good. She said she chose the name. She said she chose the name. My whole thing. They all say that.
Yeah, that's true. All I'm saying is this: the name doesn't bother me outside of the part when you start speaking Spanish. And now I'm like, wait, a lot of NXT is based on, you know, this person from somewhere else, and you know their history with somebody with somewhere else, and now they're doing it on a bigger stage here. And that's why the Frankie Monet name is like, I don't know what you call her, but it's like that might just be a me thing, right? Like I don't know how many people felt that way, but it was just me. It was like, this woman speaks fluent Spanish and English, and she's switching back and forth to talk to Raquel to show you how like this might be something in the future. But why is it Frankie Monet? I don't get it. Whatever. But like she came down to the ring with the dog. I think that's a nice way to get heat. I mean she dressed like she's gonna be somebody, and she carried herself like she was gonna be somebody. So we'll see.
I'm a fan.
Yeah, I like Ty. Or Frankie, sorry.
Swerve and Leon Ruff finally got it on. Yeah,
before that match. This is the second time they've done it where they have gone wherever or someplace that has recording equipment and it lights up, has nice audio, and in the back I see Serato production suite. And I'm like, that's cool. I like that. Like, it's nice and colorful, but it's like also it's like that's super lightweight and like I've used a little bit like, okay, whatever. But anyway, that's not the point.
And it looks like there might be a unit forming around Swerve.
Swerve says, like, look, man, this is the last time I am facing this dude. I have embarrassed and beaten and bruised up this dude. I whooped his ass 5 ways from Sunday. Well, I don't know what the expression is. 7 ways from Sunday. I don't know what the expression is. But I'm done after this because Swerve don't care. He's like, Swerve don't care. I love that line. Swerve don't care. So...
Like he's making all these crazy like faces in the camera and like eyes wide open.
Yeah. So, we'll get to that match and talk about it real quick. I like their match. It's close to 3.5. But at the end, Swerve beats him, and Swerve just like, all right, like I said, I'm done with you. I beat you. It's fine. And then before they go to the main event, Swerve is backstage and Leon Ruff attacks him and beats him down and like, you know, runs the equipment chest into him, and then it's like, oh, so it's not over.
Right.
So, like, are they gonna
I would have just ended the feud here, move Swerve on, and then
like
figure something out.
The thing for me is like, you do that to try to have another match with bigger stakes, and now like you're using weaponry, and I'm like, You're gonna break out a death match, a weapons match for this?
Yeah.
It seems kind of low. On the priority list for me. But
like just pick one of them, have them go over strong like you did, and then get the fuck out the way. Like, and debut the unit with Swerve like of AJ Francis and Brianna Brandy and whoever else they're gonna add to that shit.
Yeah. So, then I'm jumping around obviously, but like you have the I love this so much. They show all the crazy shit that was done during the O'Reilly and Cole match, all the ridiculous stuff they did to each other. See the scarring, and then you see the finish, and you see the refs.
Like the start of Rocky 2.
Yes. So you see O'Reilly Cole is fucking murdered in the ring, so they bring paramedics out to him. You see O'Reilly walk back through the curtain and then fall down in ways that made me think, like, is this what happened with Hiromu after he broke his neck? So, obviously that's not what they were intending, but it made me think, like, the last time somebody did something similar to that I remember was, like, Hiromu won that match in California, and then, you know, with all his power and strength and adrenaline, walked to the back and then collapsed. So they both get, you know, stretchered out separately, and they both go down the ramp in ER in different, down the same ramp at the same time, and the only thing separating them is a railing. And Cole has his neck brace on, and Cole's like, "You're done. I'm going to kill you. I'm going to kill you. I'm going to end you." And it's like, he hates him so fucking much. It's like, I love this. Like, this man is irrational. He's fucking hurt. He's been beaten. And he's like, when I get out of this fucking hospital bed with the last breath I take, I will fucking end this dude. I loved it, how much he hated it, how much he hates O'Reilly. I really did. So there's also a video package showing, like, the Joshi legends of NXT from Asuka to Kairi to Io, and then they also show Mako, and then they say, you know, the next in line is Saray. And
why they only got one at a time, you know?
Well, I don't know if it's one at a time.
like most of the time is one at a time.
Well, no, what I'm really saying is, like, Triple H hinted that, like, Io's not going up. Who knows? But it's been a week. I ain't seen her. Her contract, in theory, runs out in August. In theory, if she signed a 3-year deal and didn't re-sign, and she's still engaged to Evil, and Bushiroad has said that we would love to have her back, and she has a year of looking at what's happened with Kyrie. Like, who knows? But yeah, like, maybe maybe that's a sign off. Like, she has a match at, SummerSlam weekend with Sari. I finally get my fucking Joshi takeover match, and Io leaves. I don't know. But like, I'm just interested to see who Saray fucking murders come next week, because like, it's funny because like
she's wrestling Zoe Stark.
Oh, that's gonna be a good fucking match. So it's interesting because like, Finish Shell out the blue hit me up and was like, so how good is she? And I was like, huh. I told him, like, I thought that she was like the third best women's wrestler I saw in 2019. And I told her the same things I said to you. Like, at worst, she's going to be fine because she's so fucking good. But like, how well it could be a potential bad fit for her, like, going to WWE, because like, her best matches is when she's like dropping people on she and herself are getting dropped on her head and neck, and she's kicking people's fucking heads off. So you're not gonna be able to do that in WWE. That's exactly what I said. Like, this could be a Kenta situation. So I don't know how this is gonna work, but if it doesn't go well, like, I can already see like she has to work a softer style. But then again, it's like Io and Kyrie had to work a softer style, and they figured it all fucking out too. So did Asuka. So we'll see how this goes. If she'll be around for a couple years, obviously. But I mean, she's gonna be really good, and I don't know if you run the division around her, but she's young enough if they wanted to do that. Like, I think she's like 24 or something like that. But yeah, like, she's gonna be at the top of the card in no time soon. There's almost no doubt in my mind for that. Like, she's that fucking good. But yeah. So we'll see what she does with Zoe Sky. That could be a banger. Let's see what else you had. You had the main event. I'm trying to think. Oh, I forgot. Roddy comes in with Marina, who we haven't seen in I forgot. I don't know how long. It's been months. He's dressed in a suit. And Marina is dressed like on the same level. Then later in the show, he hands in Regal's office, hands him an envelope, says, "Yeah, man, I'm done." And Regal's like, you and the Undisputed Boys have given me a lot of grief over the years. I'm trying to do this job, but if you ever change your mind, there's always a place for you. That sort of thing. Shook hands and walked off. So who knows what's coming to play with that? But clearly something's going on. And then, unless I'm blanking on anything,
what timing before they just randomly release people?
You get the main event, 8-person mixed tag, The Way versus Ember, Shotzi, Bronson Reed, and Dexter Lumis. The match starts. Lumis gets a jobber entrance. Then in comes everybody else. So this stupid match, I went into this match wanting to hate this match because like they've been pushing this storyline for the last like month and a half, where this subplot where like Indy all of a sudden is now smitten with Dexter Lumis, and like she been flashing them signs. Lumis is slow to pick this up. Maybe monsters and goons are unaware that like they're I don't know, a snack, if you will. So this match is basically like, and I've talked about this before with you. The Way is basically Johnny is a father with his stupid ass junior Austin Theory, and Candice has her daughter, her impressionable daughter, her apparently horny teenage daughter, Indy, and the two kids get themselves in a hijinks, and the parents have to kind of like straighten them out at certain points. Obviously, the worst is always Austin Theory's, but this like thing with Indy and Lumis is like a recent development. Anyway, this match starts, and it's fun. Like, Gargano is bumping around. He ends up trying to break up some momentum from what the women are in, and basically like Ember and Shotzi get in the ring, and like he just bumps around for them, just similar to when he bumped around for Mia Yim back when they were doing the Yimitless versus the Garganos. And then it happens. Everybody gets laid out. Indy starts trying to get close to Loomis. They did a face-to-face while Loomis was on the ring. It was on the apron, and the crowd goes wild. I'm sitting there like, this is fucking hilarious. This is fucking ridiculous and hilarious. So, match continues. Next thing you know, Bronson Reed starts taking over and starts throwing around Gargano and Austin Theory. And Gargano and Austin Theory are basically like, look, I don't know if you want to say they were Dolph Ziggler, if you want to say they were Shawn Michaels bumping for Hulk Hogan, if you want to say they're Mr. fucking Perfect, or if you want to say Rick Rude bumping for Warrior. They were out there bumping like this was the strongest man to ever fucking exist. Like, there was a bump that Austin Theory took where he bumped, got up, bumped again. I was like, God, it was ridiculous. So, they did a spot similar to the Himeka spot where like, instead of a double rack, it was a double Samoan drop with the men. And then Candice got to the top rope, and Bronson Reed sees her, and he goes, "Don't do it. Don't do it." Candice jumps. It was like she jumped off and splashed into a fucking brick wall, and she bounced off into the mat. It was fucking hilarious. So, long story short, after that happens, they get him out the ring. They start doing dives where like Ember and Shotzi do dives onto the way. They tease a dive where Bronson Reed was going to dive on everybody, but obviously they stopped that. That wasn't going to happen. Austin Theory cut that off. Then, because everybody's basically down, Indy sees her opportunity, like as Loomis gets in the ring, and he's actually like he's about to choke out Johnny. She bumps. She basically just flat back bumps and plays dead. He hears the bump, turns around to see who's behind me, sees Indy is down. So he's like, oh, she's hurt. And he grabs her, takes her out the ring, and walks to the back. Indy looks dead into the fucking camera. Smiles. I want to see somebody put the Michael Jackson Thriller eyes at the end of Thriller on Indy Hartwell, because that was exactly what this was. This was, she looks back and puts a thumbs up and then passes back out and pretends to play dead. But I want to see her with the thumbs up, look in the eyes when you hear that. Wow. So anyway,
she out here getting carried out like Miss Elizabeth by Hogan.
Yes. So then, match continues. Johnny looks like they have Bronson Reed dead to rights. Bronson Reed thwarts it and splashes Austin Theory and gets the win. With the help also of turning tables from Ember and Shotzi. Good babyface win to start off fresh on the main event. It was a very fun match. A lot of good wrestling on it. I really wanted to hate this fucking match, but like the wrestling was very good. They did all these dives. They did all this stuff that like made sense in the scheme of the story they were trying to tell. I enjoyed the match. I ended up giving it 3.5. I really thought this match was gonna be one of the worst matches of the year, and it turned to like, oh, this shit's actually like pretty good. So yeah,
I was like, I'll be damned if I watch this match and I turn the show
right, bro. I went into that shit like dreading it, and then I was like, yo, this was fun. This was well done. Congrats to them. So yeah, that was more or less NXT.
She'd have won that cruiserweight title too.
Oh my god, yes, that match was Raw. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah. Kushida ends up winning it. I was surprised by that happening. Like, but you know, he won a new gear, and then after the match, he teases that they tease backstage that Devlin's going to come back eventually to challenge for the title.
Just incredible, phenomenal booking here. Like, this guy fucking unifies the belt after a fucking year and then loses it immediately. Like,
right?
What are they doing? Like, I don't like.
And he seemingly turned babyface after like, okay, so think about this, right? At Stand and Deliver, they have the ladder match. They wrestle the majority of the match with Legado to Fantasma not there at all. Then at the very end, they steal the win for him. And then they go on the ramp and bring his son out, and he puts the Phantasm mask on his son. It was like, this is the baby faces thing you could possibly fucking do. So then he comes down to the ring this week and says, like, look, I am the Emperor of Lucha Libre. My father before me ran Lucha. I run Lucha, and my son will run Lucha. Like, I get that they're trying to, like, he's talking about a fucking family and his roots, his actual roots as a second generation wrestler. Like, I'm supposed to hate this guy, even though he's doing, he's cheating or whatever else. But it's like, you
see, James, he's Mexican.
I think that they're going to flip Legado because of how good they fucking are. I think they're going to flip them. And I think, he might be in that, soon to be in the North American title division.
We will see. But I guess there's only one thing left to do, James. Hit the music!
Yeah, man. So the last time we talked about Stardom, like for real, was our solo show for the Korakuen Hall show. So I think they've had like 10 shows since then. They've had a pay-per-view level show since then. I had wrote out this thing detailing all the stuff that's happened. Basically, like the long story short, to get you to where we need to get to is that after Korakuen Hall, when Tam won the belt, and Mina got back, Mina has become a most improved wrestler candidate. She's been good in these tags, very good in these tags. Tam has basically been like put in the Shuri, Momo, Mayu responsibility of you. When it's your turn in the ring, you have to fucking carry these matches. It's on you. And she has carried and delivered, and she's been just great in the month and a half or whatever since Budokan.
Would you say she's stood and delivered?
Sure, why not? So Shuri is getting groomed for another title match and potentially to become the next Red Belt champion. Let's start here. Julia shows up to the Korakuen Hall, the first show after Budokan, with the bald head. She showed the bald head to the world. She's in the fatigues and stuff, in the military-like gear. We made jokes about the similarities to her police. You said Generalissimo?
No, General Julia.
General Julia, yeah. G.I. Julia. So, she's been stapled to Shuri, and Shuri has won every single one of their matches. She's done this thing where she said she wants to start over from the bottom and start over from the top, including in her fashion. She has not, every time she's been in a tag match with anybody, like, they never play her music anymore. They play whoever's the biggest one up. So, like, if she's with Shuri, they play Shuri's music. If it's with Micah and Hameka, they play Micah's music. So that's how they're playing this, where, like, she's keeping her head low, she's trying to grind. This will become a thing we'll talk about in a couple minutes. Oedo Tai, or before Budokan Hall, Roka turned on Mayu, which is like the 15th person that was in Stars to turn and go to Oedo Tai since Saki. I think it's like 3, actually. It's 3.
She turned on more than Cody.
Yeah. So they gave Roka new gear. They put her in Oedo Tai. She is tagging a lot with Natsuko and Saki. And she has improved and I think she's taken advantage of the fact that like the twin, like the Hannon sisters, all 3 of them haven't been around a lot, so she's gotten a lot of those reps. So she has improved. She actually, after she turned, she ended up getting a future belt match against Saya, because now it's Oedo Tai versus Stars, and now they've been feuding over the last month. Saya got a 3.5-star match out of a 16-year-old woman that can't move. It was the opener.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
I couldn't fucking believe it. So that happened on the 26th show, the 26th of March. So the Korakuen Hall show. So back to trying to think anything else that's important. I mentioned that Shuri is being groomed for the red belt against Utami, right?
Yes.
Okay. So to circle back to Cosmic Angels, with Mina improved, with Tam basically having the best stretch of wrestling of her career, probably. They have just had matches that, like, I didn't think this was possible when Unagi first showed up in November. I was like, Tam was trying to carry this and it wasn't working, but like she is now. Basically, what they're doing is, y'all two wrestle first. I get in the ring. I will get this match up to a level, and then we will start getting into the near falls and stuff, and then I will end up at the end of the match, and then we will go from there. And like they have won like the vast majority of their matches in trios. They've lost, so that's how they've been handling. So, the very first Korakuen Hall after Budokan, they went straight to the Stars versus Cosmic Angels thing. Good ass match at the end. Tam pins Starlight Kid again. So earlier in that show, Momosaya and Azumi win basically no more contenders match. So they're like, all right, we're gonna wrestle on the 26th show in Korakuen Hall, the March 26th show. Flash forward to March 26th, they have a goddamn banger. It's the best trios match in Stardom since that Queen's Quest versus Dom Del Mondo match from February of last year. The one that we both gave 4.25. Like, that match is awesome.
I thought it was June or July.
It was because that was like right when Shuri and Micah got to Stardom. Yeah,
timeline all messed up.
Yeah. So anyway, that match basically comes down to Unagi and Saya are strong style brawling it out. These two tall, pretty girls are just throwing blows at each other, and it's the best brawling I've ever seen Saya have. Mina is in there with Azumi, so she looks very good. She looks better than she really is because it's Azumi. And then the match goes down to the final stretches, and it's Tam and Momo, and they just fucking go nuts. And like, there's two different times in the match where you think like Queen's Quest has won this match, has won these titles. Tam kicks out of all that shit, and also people make saves, and then picks up Momo, drops her on the head with a screwdriver, drops her with her new finish. And then they had this double Osaka show where they did two shows in Osaka, where they did basically like a 4-person tournament, a 4-faction tournament with trios. So it's Cosmic Angels, it's Queen's Quest, it's Stars, and it's Donna Del Mondo. And this is to set up dissension amongst Julia and Himeka and Micah before the pay-per-view. So backtrack a little bit. After that first Korakuen Hall show, Unagi and Mina are feeling themselves, so they say, on the 14th, we want the tag title champion. We want the Bash sisters. We want Micah and Himeka. Mina wrestled her fucking ass off. That's the best performance I've ever seen her have. Micah drops her with a Michinoku driver. She's fucking crying because she's like, I tried my hardest and it wasn't good enough because they're better than us. They're just better. So that was their defense. So flash forward to the that trios tournament. Oedo Tai ends up beating Micah, Himeka, and Julia when Himeka has Saki behind her with her arms up. Julia comes with a big boot. Saki ducks. Himeka eats the boot. And then someone basically grabs Julia and throws her out the ring. And then Saki ends up hitting her flash crucifix pin and ends up pinning Himeka. Himeka's 38 hot. She's furious. And basically the losers for the opening round have the consolation game. So, then you get Queen's Quest versus Cosmic Angels. Instead of Momo, it's Utami this time. And Tam ends up pinning Azumi by reversing out of Azumi's flash pin by reversing that and pinning her. So the final is Cosmic Angels versus Oedo Tai. Saki ends up hitting the flash pin on Mina and gets the win, so there are going to be no more contenders for I think it's the 25th. So that's down the line. So now we basically have caught up on basically like 8 of the shows we missed. So now we can talk about the Budokan Hall show.
Yeah, man. I watched the last 3 matches of this, and I love them. I think I was like 4 1/4, 4.5, 4.5 on all these.
Wow.
I guess we can start with Tam versus Natsupoi.
Oh, another thing I need to mention. Natsupoi had a high-speed belt on those same Osaka shows that had the faction tournaments, and it was a semi-main event, and with Starlight Kid. That match is fucking awesome. That is probably Starlight Kid's 3rd best singles match ever.
Yeah, man. These, you can tell from the press conference, they didn't have to speak a word of English.
Yeah.
Some shit has gone down between them. I got a fucking huge laugh out of Natsupoi holding up the photo of them and then ripping it in half like a real villain or somebody that shows I ain't your friend no more or something like it. It tends to get real emotional and all that. But
with Tam, of course. The long story short, they both started in Actress Girls. When Actress Girls first got started, they were running getting help from Stardom. Like, they would loan out Kairi to basically use Natsupoi as her young girl. Did you notice Natsupoi's gear for that show?
No.
Okay, so you know she no one wears the white. The gear she came out in is the gear that Kairi gave her years ago, by like 2017, 2016, because she liked Natsumi that much. So keep in mind, like, Natsumi, like, when she was young coming up or whatever else, like, she was one of the top stars in Actress Girls, and then like she was in the 2016 Grand Prix for Stardom. Like, that's how much the connection was going around with them trying to help each other out. So, so she wore the old Kairi gear down to the ring. But yeah, basically the story is we were best friends, Tam, and then you, with your back then your Yuka Sakazaki haircut, just fucking left to go to Stardom. Like, the person that trained them is an ex-Stardomer named Yuna Manase. So, but whatever. It's like, you left or whatever else and went to Stardom after like a year, because you debuted in like 2016. You were here for the year and you showed up at Stardom in 2017, and then you've been there ever since. Like, you left me. We were friends. You never reached out to me. We haven't been friends since then. And ever since she came up, every interaction with Tam and Natsupoi has been like straight to blows, straight to some type of drama. So
I was gonna say, this match, it was for the belt, but it wasn't for the belt. The way they were wrestling,
It was like, you broke my heart, so I'm going to take the thing that you value most in the world right now, the white belt. That's pretty much what it came down to. So yeah, it was a good ass match.
Beating the shit out of each other, wrestling very hard, sweating, both of them like profusely. And at the end of the match, Natsupoi like just looked as devastated as I've ever seen someone. Like, Jungle Kiona like must have stood up and applauded. Shawn Michaels, tipped his cap. Ric Flair, after he would cry after retiring or something, would have been proud of this. Yeah, man. Like, the only thing she needed to do was get carried out the ring, like not under her own power. Like, but yeah, this was awesome. And Tam was like a ring general of the highest degree. And then Natsupoi is awesome. Every time I see her, she's just ultimate command of like her body and the way she fights. Quite frankly, like, this was a fight. Like,
because she's so small and she has the experience and like she's so quick, like has so much quick twitch to her game. Like, like she's one of them ones. Like you talk about Azumi and Starlight Kid and like Meiho Suzuki that's in Marvelous, and even like Mio Momono that's also in Marvelous. Like there are some like high speed monsters that like if you just like if you get in there with another one of them in there, it's fucking on. And she's one of those, but she also has this other level of experience of being like, you know, getting more opportunities than some of these girls. She's older. She's like 26. But yeah, like she, you know, as you mentioned, like 2 veterans at this point, worked a lot of matches, have probably been talking about wanting to wrestle on a stage like this for years, and it happened, and like it was a good ass match, and like that's was like, I'm not going to, I hate you. And I honestly thought that like what was going in, it was like what's going to happen was they were going to have their match, they were going to cry and hug each other, and they were going to put Natsupoi into Cosmic Angels because it's a better fit for her as a character, and she could be a number 2 in a faction as opposed to being a number 5. Didn't happen. Maybe that's down the road as well. I don't know, but like, whatever. That was my fantasy booking, but like that didn't happen. But like, I would love to see them wrestle again.
Then the next match was a red belt match. B. Priestley versus Big U, and my
the time is yours, Rich.
My God, you niggas should be embarrassed with yourselves that you have come out here and ruined this young woman B. Priestley's ratings, her score on Cage Match. All of you guys should be embarrassed.
I told you it was bad, bro. I told you it was bad.
Look, I feel like I knew the result of this match ahead of time, right? But right. I think this comes from being a big Shawn Michaels fan growing up. I can look at wrestling through the eyes of the loser, right? And see what it meant to them to give everything they have, and then they just don't, you know, win or whatever, right? They don't win the match, but what they're competing for is kind of something else in that.
She outperformed Utami, and Utami's in the middle of a really good fucking red belt run. She outperformed her. She just did.
Right. And it's like she got the belt before, quote unquote, it was time, right? And people held that against B for a long time.
And people also don't like her because of
they don't like her, you know,
white girl in Japan
whatever
as well.
Reason. Yep. And all she did was show up to this match as good as she's ever been, in phenomenal shape, as phenomenal always. Gear, phenomenal like work in the ring, and who knows, and this is her last match now in Stardom. So while you did not appreciate her, now you're going to be upset when she shows up in NXT.
Right.
And you're like, man, I wish we got that B. Priestley we had, you know, in Stardom or whatever, but y'all niggas just ain't appreciate her for whatever reason. And, you know, when it's time to go get that bag, eventually you got to stop going to Japan. Like, that's just how it goes for foreigners. But she was a top star. She's the top gaijin, as it says. And like I said, looking at it through the perspective of a loser in the match, right? Like you lose the match, but like you gain the respect elsewhere, like Shawn Michaels has done dozens of times. And
she gave Tommy so much. Like, I don't remember anybody else ever kicking out of her Manami Toyota Japanese Ojo Cyclone Suplex. Like there were storytelling moments in this match. It wasn't just like move. Like B's good when she's allowed to, you know, be in there or whatever else. Like I don't think she's great, but like compared to the other girls, but I think she's damn good and damn well belongs, and always has been, and always has been someone that, like, when you watch these house shows and you see the people's effort levels or whatever else, and like you see like the people that constantly always, you know, show up, like whether it's someone like a Starlight Kid or a Jungle Kiona or Queen's Quest flat out period, in Tam, like, you always see these people bust their ass. Shuri's another person that comes to mind when it says, like, they're always busting their ass on every fucking show. And, like, yes, was she not good in 2018? Sure. Was that the case by the time she had a 4.25 match to get the red belt off of Kagetsu? No. Was that the case when her title defenses weren't as good as Arissa's? No. Did she have a better Grand Prix than Hoshiki? Fucking right she did. And, like, look, man, my faction, when I first started watching Stardom in January of 2019, was Queen's Quest. That was, back then, that lineup was Momo, Utami, Konami, Azumi, and B. That was a fucking murderer's row. That's why that's why they're still my favorite faction. So, like, yeah, man, like, I never got it. She was always in a faction with other women that all worked hard. She worked just as hard as them. And she had good ass matches in like the third match or whatever else with Queen's Quest at the time. I never got it. I never got why people didn't like her. Like, I didn't see when she stunk, when she was quite frankly, her body was, when she was skinny and scrawny compared to where she is now. I never saw that. I only saw when she was good. It's similar to the Tam thing. Like, I only saw when Tam was good. I never saw her at the beginning of 2018. Like, if you go to Stardom and you work your 100 matches, you will get fucking good. Like, you see it with Mina right now. Mina was mediocre. Now she's damn good in these tags.
Because I really like to almost, read through these reasons. Like, I'm very tempted to pull up B. Priestley's cage match ratings and read off the usernames and the ridiculous comments underneath her rating page, but I'm not going to do that.
Like, the two ones that are always the two dumbest ones, in my opinion, the women's wrestling that I've seen like lately or last year or so, like looking at this stuff, are B's because she got overpushed or whatever else, and Yoshiko, and at least Yoshiko's like, oh, she ended someone's career by breaking her face. Like, I understand that, but like, the fact that she's getting ratings for like getting like 3s and 2s and 4s in 2019 and 20 and 21 when she's one of the best women wrestlers in the world, like, it's like, hey man, like, the domestic fan base doesn't care about that stuff in that way. She's apologized. Act has forgiven her. Relax. And like, even then, like, what did B do? B didn't break anybody's face.
Yeah.
Are you upset because of what Will Ospreay may have done? What does that have to do with B?
It's all gonna come to the light when she goes over to NXT, and I feel like that's obviously where she's going, since like whenever you disappear and then you can't tell anybody where you're going, that's usually where you're going. And when she's there, she's in that system. All this, I think, is going to go away, and then, like I said, new stuff's going to pop up. Like, where was, why isn't she the way she was, and whatever. But I think
talking about how like, she's retired.
Yeah,
and it's funny because like if you were to go to her thing, and I scanned it real quick, like her, how they have like the yearly ratings or whatever else. Like magically this year, like she's about rated where she is, and somewhere in the 8s. This year, it's like, because she's leaving Stardom now. Now, like, she's getting depreciation that she should have gotten like for about a year and a half now. All right,
amazing.
All right,
amazing. Utami retains the belt. Another great defense for her. Yep. I feel like she. I kind of get a vibe from Utami where, because they didn't let her main event here again, for obvious reasons, which we'll get to in a minute, but I feel like she's I don't feel like she's the ace of the company, but I feel like she's somebody that, like, is a young champion, like, on their first time being the champion, that they're just like, yo, you're going to have a bunch of solid matches, and eventually we're going to get it off you, and then, like, when it's time for you to be the ace, the next time you win it is going to be like, I'm, like, on top of the fucking world.
That's pretty much exactly how I feel. That's pretty much exactly how I feel. Like, I feel like
it's like one of Okada's early title runs.
Yep. Like, I feel like she's going to lose I feel like okay, so back before Utami even won it, I thought that the person that should be the next Red Belt champion should have been Shuri, given how she came in. She was the most protected person in the company, even more protected than Julia. Like, you go through it and go through the time she actually got pinned or submitted. Like, Julia did 3 jobs in the Grand Prix. She lost to Himeka. She got, I think she got tapped out by Konami, and Tam beat her, right? Dropped her on her head, right? And she, she won got all those wins back. But Shuri in the Grand Prix, she didn't make the final, but she lost because she had to forfeit one match because of the thing that happened, because her mom died the weekend that she was supposed to fight Momo. And then she came back the next day and she ended up putting over Azumi, which a win that she got back. But like outside of that, and then when she had a red belt match against Mayu at that October 3rd show, I think those are the only 2 times she ever lost. Mm-hmm. She's never been pinned or submitted. Like everything else is like she comes through and like, you know, they had the SWA versus white belt match with Julia that went to a draw. She's defended the belt against the SWA belt against, you know, Azumi, against Konami. Like, she's just great. She looks like a star. She carries herself like a star. She's the fucking baddest woman in the company. She has the best win percentage. You go on a cage match, pull up, but she has the best win percentage of someone that's actual person that's there all the time. Like, she has been groomed since like day one to eventually win the red belt. Like, so that's why, like, that's one of the reasons why when Utami won, I was like, I wouldn't say, like, this is all built for Utami, but it felt like Shuri was the bigger priority throughout the year at times. So now that there's on a collision course, is like, this is the first defense that Utami's had where it's like, she could fucking lose. This is the first one.
You know, dangerous opponents. You know?
Right.
Yeah, but we get to the main event. Donald Domando explodes.
Donald Domando explodes.
You know, General Julia, and then she even convinced Shuri to wear the pants along with her.
Okay, so they have tagged a couple times before Budokan Hall, but basically, like, they've had 2 matches since then, and like ever since then, like, Shuri, being the babyface she is, like, all right, you on this? I'm with it. I'll come out there in something similar. Like, I just love Shuri. She's the best. She's so nice, and she'll fucking kill you. Like, she's just great. What's not to like? I'll murder you, and I'm just super charismatic. Whatever. Yeah, continue with the match.
You know, and then Micah and Omega come out, and it's a tag team titles on the line. So I'm wondering, I'm like, man, so they got their 2 single stars, they got their 2 tag stars. Man, this could go either way, because I wasn't spoiled on this match. Mm-hmm. And it was like, they just so many crisp sequences and hard hits and big bombs and double team moves and breakups of pins. This was phenomenal. Can't go like, and it was like, you think about it, I was like, all right, they put Donald Domando over the red belt, and I'm like, I get it, because it's Donald Do fucking Mondo, like, and they're all fucking awesome. Like, yeah, like I said, 4.5 on this. Titles change, and this is like, seems like it's a road for Julia to kind of stay out of the way of the singles while rebuilding her, you know, and still, like, you know, letting her work on top in a way. And you mentioned the collision course with Shuri and Tommy. I believe we got a question about that as well.
Yeah. Yeah, so after that match,
I couldn't be more excited.
After that match, Shuri calls down Utami. I haven't rewatched this show. I need to rewatch this main event because I'm a whole star lower than you on this match. Like, watching this live and then, like, going from B just had at worst second best match she's ever had, or second best match she's ever had as a singles match at Stardom, to she's fucking leaving, to, like, you know, the hug with Momo and her apologizing to Momo over all the you suck shit and the show pie stuff, and like
also
her leaving,
the crowd respecting her.
Right. Like, after all of that stuff, it was like, well, damn. Like, obviously,
a woman who used to get no streamers.
Right. So, like, for me, the thing was like, okay, seeing that that's how they want to do it, I see why that didn't main event, because, like, you're leaving on, like, this downer of a note. But, like, as far as the story being told, it's like, Tam, like, as far as story and intrigue, like, this match came out of fucking nowhere. Like, they just threw that together because Julia, like, needed a match to do. And, like, I also did not like the idea of, wait, so, like, you're teasing a match that, under most circumstances, would end in a draw as your main event. That sucks. So I was sitting there. So, like, after the emotion of those 2 matches, of the white belt and red belt match, I'm sitting there watching. And I'm just like, it's cool. They're going really long. Why are they going so long? And then, you know, 30-minute time limit in Stardom, it ends at 28 minutes. I'm like, they worked really hard. They did a lot of cool stuff, but, like, it didn't get me. So I was like, it's a good match, but, like, So, and then, like, it had no, like, it didn't feel like it had real emotion to it. It wasn't it wasn't like there was a story like, you know, or
it
they
felt like
did
a big all-star game kind of.
Yeah.
Like, it seemed like they were like, hey, I'll wrestle you real hard or whatever, but like I don't hate you or anything.
Right. And then like Greg had watched it and messaged me probably like 2-3 days ago and was like, he says like, you know, he's a big Julia fan. He was like, he's hated everything Julia has, or he's hated most of everything Julia has done since losing Budokan. And he said like he thought that Julia was sloppy as hell in that match or whatever else. And like I have to rewatch it because like the
I think she was a step behind the other three.
Right. Like people are also like, I don't know, also given there was also a resentment of like, okay, so you lose the biggest match, you're bald, and like you tell us a storyline in where you're trying to start from square one is like, so all that solved in 32 days. Like you lost the belt, 32 days later you say you're gonna start over, and just like that you're already back on top, and the main event is like, oh damn. So, and also I didn't like the fact that like they had me personally, I didn't like the idea that like they just beat Micah and Himeka. Like
I thought that too. Like
I did not like
that. They're the tag team unit. They're like
that was a great spot for them. That was a great spot for them to be on the card in important matches. They could basically be the face of that division after, you know, it being kind of a turnstile ever since they had to break up. Well, I wouldn't say that, like, because it's weird. Like ever since like Konami and Jungle lost those belts to B and Jamie, like the B and Jamie thing had to end so fast because Jamie has been back. They put the belts on to Utami and Kamatani, and they never had any good or any great tag matches. They were just fine. They were there. And then you're looking at the tag division. You see like the teams in tag league. You're like Momonozumi. They could be. There's a tag team I would love to see be tag team champions. You see Mayu and Starlight Kid. That's a team I want to see be tag team champions. And it's like, then you put it on Mike and Himeka, and you can still have those matches. But then you put them on Julie and Shuri, and it's like, you may as well retire. You may as well put them in the Walter category of they may as well retire them with them fucking belts. Who the fuck's gonna beat them to? They're the two most protected people in the company. Like they're obviously not like giants, but it's on some like Brothers of Destruction type shit, you know?
Yeah.
So it's like
Undertaker.
And also like it muddies up like the potential what they're gonna do with the cards, right? Like, all right, so are you telegraphing to me that like Shuri's about to lose to Utami because like you can't have Shuri be red belt champion, SWA champion, and tag champion, and then like defend these titles on big shows, and also while telling like Julia to fuck off somewhere in the mid card? You're absolutely not doing that. You just did this match. Tell me you're not finna do that. So
yeah,
I didn't like it. It felt like a bad place to do that because it muddies up a lot of stuff. But, you know, whatever. They're going to have good matches eventually. Or really good matches. Or matches that I might have to rematch. I'll rematch this match. I'll probably like it more. But, like, I didn't think it was as great as, like, the red and white belt matches. Maybe because of Mission of Motion. I don't know.
I really liked all three of those matches. And it was like, man.
Yeah.
Like, I better not get too, like, far away from Stardom because they're doing really good stuff.
Also, underneath, they had... like that trios match they had paired off Mina and Momo. They had Mina and Momo singles match on the undercard. Like I think it was second match. That match is very good. I ended up giving it 3.5. And they did Unagi versus Tall Saya, and they had also a good match. I liked the Momo match better, but yeah, like that card's good. Like it's probably the third best like big pay-per-view show they've done since October. Like it's not fucking touching the Budokan, and it's not as good as the Yokohama show from October 3rd, but right after that, underneath it, I think it's the best one since then. Like it's you know, 5 solid matches on a 7-match card, or nice. 5 good matches, 4 or 3 of them, you know, varying degrees of great on a 7-match card with a bunch of kids on the card too.
Kids. Yeah, man. So I guess we can get into the questions to wrap the show up. Question from JML. What's going on, JML? He said, is it time to add Nick Khan and Simon Inoki to the ONR Finesser of the Year category? So Nick Khan, if you guys aren't familiar, he's not related to Tony Khan. He's someone who works in the TV industry who's signed with WWE, who's basically negotiating all their TV stuff now. He negotiated the WWE Network deal, and he's one of the highest paid employees in WWE and rapidly gaining power right now. I believe he had a really good podcast interview on Colin Cowherd's podcast, and I believe he's Colin Cowherd's former agent, if I'm not mistaken.
He's a former CAA agent, isn't he?
Yes.
Makes sense.
And I believe he's making like $13.5 million a year from WWE right now.
Sounds like he should be making more. He got them how many billions now on these contracts?
Like, there are people like advocating for him to go into the Wrestling Observer Hall of Fame already, and it's pretty funny. Like, it's like, you think about it, it's
just
like,
based off of the Florida Nimbers.
Yeah,
he kind of deserves it.
Yeah,
kind of.
Nick Khan, looking at it, I don't know if this is a level of finesse or this is just how this dude kicks it. So I'm not sure about the finesse aspect of it, but.
If you are a former CAA agent, a former major CAA agent, have a client like WWE, you are already you already hustled hard and you already had all the game in the world. So like, this might be a breeze. This might be like, all right, well, I was working with finding some placement for Disney 2 years ago. Now I'm just working with WWE. Like, this ain't shit for him. So
right.
It's a different level. It's a different level with the CAA.
So he also, and Simon Inoki's part, I asked him, what did Simon Inoki do? And then I remembered he was part of the video package for now Sarai. So he said he managed to get on NXT TV via Sarai and was the interpreter for Io Shirai at the NXT press conference. Allegedly, he was the one behind getting Kyrie into WWE and had Noah in a silent partnership with WWE before they got sold into Cyber Agent. Also, he's still using the Inoki name, even though he's been divorced from Antonio Inoki's daughter for years. That's hilarious.
I'm sorry. Wait. So he got married to Inoki's daughter and took Inoki's name?
Yes, that is some Mark shit.
Hey, that's not no Mark shit. That is some full-on Carney shit. Put that man on that list. Put that man on contendership list right now. Absolutely. That man been long scamming. I just ain't know it.
Yeah, that's a big scam right there. I would probably say Simon Inoki out of those two.
Yes.
JML. So he also asked, which is the better landing spot for Samoa Joe, AEW or New Japan, specifically New Japan Strong? More people will see him in AEW than New Japan Strong.
Right.
I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
I think Samoa Joe would die in a G1 right now.
Bitch, I don't even. That's not even a thought. That's like Jericho in the G1. Get the fuck out of here. That's not happening. Like,
it's ironic you brought up Jericho. I do think he could come in for like big matches, like once or twice a year,
but not G1s. Hell no.
Fuck no.
Yeah, same thing. Yeah, same thing with Samoa Joe. Like, if he can work out that deal to get the AEW slash New Japan package that like a lot of people have. Like Jericho, then I would say go for that.
I'd love to see Tomohiro Ishii and Samoa Joe.
Yes.
How about that?
Yes, and Shingo, and Goto.
Yeah, yep, he can fit right in there.
Yep.
Like he said, last one. How would you feel?
That man been wrestling like a Japanese wrestler for what, 20 years now?
Right.
There you go.
That man has literally wrestled Kenta Kobashi.
Right.
So
in a fucking classic.
Yeah. He said, last one. How would you feel about Shuri ending Utami's red belt reign? I would feel great about it personally. I love Shuri.
Yeah. It would make sense. You know that Utami is going to be around, or you get the feeling that Utami is going to be around, and she is going to be a top star in the company for years to come. So like, this title reign does not need to be her one where she has it forever. I mean, it's already been. I mean, she won it November 15th, right? So December, January, February, March, April, May, like end of May. Like in theory, that's 6.5 months where she should be champion. Like that's a fine title reign for a red belt or white belt champion. You know, like if it goes longer, whatever they do, as long as they get a clean finish, they'll be right between those two. Like the story between them is Grand Prix. In the final night last year, it was them, because of the scheduling situation with Shuri that we mentioned earlier, she had to wrestle twice that night. She had to wrestle Micah and I think the opener. That's a good-ass match. And then she wrestled Utami later, and it was basically Shuri had to win to advance. They went to a tie. They went to a draw. And then Utami, like, minutes later, fought Himeka, and, you know, much like a Vince McMahon, you know, babyface, had to fight a giant to win a shot at a title and then end up winning the title. So, coming back to it now, let's see now. It's like it's a tie thing. We wrestled one time. We had a kick-ass match. Now let's see it. Let's see it now. Like this has been a well-protected match, well-built match.
Yeah, man. Staleburger Bun says, what will be the next exciting development in the ongoing Fiend saga? Hopefully he disappears.
I have nothing else to add.
Leaves the business. Hits the lotto. Something.
Yeah. Don't say you hope you win the lotto feel so much better than say I hope you. I'm glad I made this shit up for evil. Look,
this shit is great.
Look, man, I hope you nothing but the best, but I never want to see you I'll never want to see you do this fucking craft ever again.
Hit a lotto, find new interests.
Yes. Buy a sports team.
Yes. You know. MJ Does PR says the Bucks for DR1s to wrestling on Dynamite. Is this a flex or obnoxious? Which wrestlers have the shoe game on lock? Bonus points if Saki Kashima is on your list.
Okay,
I think it's a flex.
It's both. It's both because they're heels.
I guess.
Like yes, the entire history of wrestling is I'm rich as fuck. You should hate me. Yes, we got Dior J's on. Hate us. So yeah, yep. It's both.
Creasing them.
No, it's the disrespect. So, as far as Saki, Rich, you don't know this, but like she collects Air Force or Jordan 1s.
Gotcha.
Yeah, like that's it. She don't collect nothing else. All it is just different colorways for Jordan 1s.
That's funny.
Yeah.
I think you got to throw Isaiah Cassidy in there. He also wrestles in J's and lots of different colors.
Now, if you're going to throw a Joshi out for this, it has to be Mayu.
Yeah, because she wears the Timbs.
She'll wear the Timbs with the Bape on. She'll come out here with these special edition forces with like the second Nike stripe and like the reflective rainbow colors on. Like I've seen her. She actually legitimately has she's legitimately a hype beast. That's the best way I can explain it. Like I've seen her in a million different pairs of like special edition Nikes and all that kind of stuff. It's her for the Joshi section. As far as Saki, I like her collection, but it's just Air Jordan 1s. That's all.
I think I would have to look more into this.
Right.
But we'll have to look more into this. If you guys find any pictures of wrestlers like showing off their shoe collections, drop them into One Nation.
The Young Bucks would be up there. They like to show off all the Jordans they have.
Yeah, they've got tons of shoes.
Yeah, you're right with the Isaiah Cassidy one. Trying to think. But yeah, I think that's a pretty good list. It's a pretty good list.
Remember that time Roman Reigns wore those shoes that had the white stripe on it? Fastlane 2017.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Trying to think anybody else. Enzo.
Kofi. Kofi.
Oh, Kofi for sure. Yeah.
Kofi.
I don't know if Enzo's now. You talk about somebody wearing fake shoes. Like he'll come out here with a fake logo on you quick. So I don't know. Trying to think. Yeah, Kofi for sure.
Yeah.
Like that man was doing this shit like wrestling in like J's and shit and like basically wearing them with the kick pads and like making them all one, like before that shit was cool. Like, like he been doing this, vetting the game.
Yeah, about a decade in it.
JML. So I came across a thing where WWE trademarked The Fiend. And I was like, man, I guess we're gonna have to call the rest of the world's gonna have to steal the Florida slang, call them jugs now, but since we can't call them, fiends or whatever. So JML asked, he said, since y'all have talked about jugs on the show before, since y'all are from Florida, have y'all heard of jits and soldieries?
Yeah, jits. Like, I don't know why it's such a thing, but jit is just short for jitterbug. Like, you're just young.
Yes. Jit. I was a little thrown off when I first heard it. I was like, jit, like what? Like, but then, you sink in. Soldieries, I believe those are the like, what would be called like 5411s, if I'm not mistaken. They're just Reeboks, I believe. I like, from what I've heard, like soldieries are, but I think that's for folks a little bit younger than James and myself right now. Yeah, and last question, it looks like from Zach. He said, question for Rich. When are you making the jump to Wrestle Universe and dropping New Japan World? Man, that Wrestle Universe looks pretty appealing, can't lie. You got your Noah, you got your DDT, you've got your Tokyo Joshi Pro for a smooth $8.31 a month, American dollars here. New Japan's kind of going through, like, I heard something like where Noah was outselling them recently. They were offered the Vice TV deal that MLW got, turned it down. They're going after people for posting screenshots of their events, just pictures during the live events. And I'm like, what are they doing as a company? Like, it's just like everything's going wrong. Like, I don't know, man. But I got to watch Konosuke Takeshita in a couple matches.
I don't know how that's pronounced either, my man.
No, that's it. That's
okay.
It. Konosuke Takeshita, but I had to listen to Kenny Omega say it first. I thought it was Takashita or whatever, but it's not.
Bro, I wasn't joking when in the group that I was like, which set of vowels is 8 and don't exist and are silent? Because I didn't know.
Right. He's awesome. He's raw. Apparently, I think he's only 25 years old. He's the best wrestler in the history of DDT, from what I'm gathering. The man wrestles like he's got a height. He's like 6'2", feels like Okada-ish. The way he, is in the ring. I got a feeling they're building up a match with him and Kenny, either in DDT or in AEW whenever they bring him back. He wrestled about 3 matches, if I'm not mistaken. He did a match. He did a house show match. He did a match with Danny Limelight, which I would highly recommend, on Elevation last week. And then he teamed with Kenny and Nakazawa against the Sydal brothers and Danny Limelight. And it was like, man, apparently Kota Ibushi and Kenny Omega had a match with, it may have been Endo and Takeshita in 2014. So Golden Lovers versus those guys. I got that.
Tetsuya Endo?
Yes.
Okay.
I would have to double check on that, but I know Takeshita teamed with somebody and fought the Golden Lovers in 2014. I'm going to check that out. But Takeshita, it was like he has like the kind of talent where it was like, man, I kind of want to follow this guy and watch what he's doing. So that's why I'm considering jumping to Wrestle Universe. But yeah, definitely can't wait till he comes back to AEW, and they've clearly set it up. He got the pinfall before he left to do that, and him and Kenny's got a weird tension. But yeah, definitely, yeah, I'm a big fan of his already, from just a couple tag matches and a short match he had with Danny Limelight. So interested to see what he looks like in a main event capacity, because if it's anything like his kind of short sample size, I was pretty impressed. So anyway, those are all the questions.
So what's his best match inside of a department store in a mall?
I don't know.
All right, we'll figure it out. Goofy ass wrestling they do. It's like
I do not know.
It's so weird that like they produce that much amount of talent when they do so much like out there stuff. It's it's weird, but you know, whatever. It's indie wrestling.
Yeah. And this is like the next in the line of people they've brought from the Cyber Agent family, with Maki Ito coming, and now Konosuke Takeshita.
So
I wonder if anybody from Noah is going to show
right,
up.
that's going to ask you, do you think they bring in like Go Shiozaki?
I think Shiozaki's injured, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Maybe they bring in one of their younger people. We don't, quite know as well. I knew nothing about Takeshita before, but yeah.
Same here. I just all I did was hear that like Zach was like he's good, and I remember I ended up seeing he had like he's in the high 8s. He's like 8.8. I was like, all right. And I remember Josh saying like he's like on pace to be like the best wrestler in DDT. It's like DDT does do a lot of goofy shit, but they do also have good ass wrestling from time to time. Like they had with Peter Pan stuff or whatever.
Yep. Well, yeah, man, that's all I got here. Yeah, that's it.
All right.
Well, I guess I should tell them about the new thing I'm kind of proposing, like kicking out around an idea of doing in my, in my quest to be as creative and entertaining as possible. I'm thinking of, saying, tell me if you guys are interested in this, if you would listen. I'm thinking about dropping like some type of podcast, like whether, I have various guests, like, whether it's like James, I haven't really even ran it by James, but doing different podcasts on the One Nation Radio exclusive feed. So some of you may hear this on the Social Suplex podcast network feed, but I'm talking about putting these shows on the One Nation Radio feed. And it would be like about music. Like it would be about like rap, periods of rap, rappers, rap beefs, specific years, albums, like different, stuff you can just talk about for hours and hours, like Rocky movies, different things like that. That's some of you guys would be interested in hearing. Just drop in the Discord, like a yes or no. And that grows, we'll like spin it off into its own thing. So, I think there's lots to talk about, like with rap.
Yeah. I had a joke. I'll save it for off here. But that's in the show, y'all. Thanks for listening. Be sure to go to ProWrestlingTees.com, ProWrestlingTees.com/Social Suplex and pick up some official Social Suplex Podcast Network merchandise. Also, hit up our Red Circle and donate to your boys. And check out, and also check out the other shows on the network. You got this show, One Nation Radio. You have Keepin It Strong Style. You have the Ricky and Clive Wrestling Podcast. You have Grown Man Watches Shit. You have the Grave Consequences Podcast. You have 8-Bit Suplex. You have All Things Elite. And you also have Great Match Generator. Thanks for listening, y'all. Later.
Peace. Stream my shit.